Yeah.
Welcome, Week 14
Oh,
reaction.
hold on. Hold on a minute.
There he
In
goes.
the hunt.
You
You know what I mean?
dig deep into the closet for that one.
Yeah, dug deep like where we put the lions.
Put the lions.
Deep in the water.
In the
there,
deep water.
Son.
Man, we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, some great games yesterday. Objectively great games until Sunday night. We're going to talk about that. But I'll start with America's teams. Okay, Kyle?
Okay, let's go.
Let's start with the B teams: the Bengals, the Bucks, the Broncos, the Bills.
I like what you
Okay,
got.
all the B teams won. And yeah, Sean McDermott has a little work to do to be able to be on an America's team after last week. Maybe he could run out of the tunnel with a flag opening night next year. But I got one more B team that I didn't even mention.
That was wild.
The Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a wild strategy by
The
Sean
B
McDermott.
team that's actually a C team.
But probably worse than that in a football sense. Like, objectively, a terrible idea to do that for Sean McDermott. Like, everybody agrees.
I still don't think it's real, is it?
It's almost like not real. Like,
It's not.
I refuse to believe it. Like, that some human being that's in charge of an organization that's worth that much money was like, yeah, let me.
Chris had a newspaper publication in high school called Satan Lee Speaking.
Yeah.
Our mascot was, we went to St. Anne's,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
our mascot was the Saints. Chris had Satan Lee Speaking, and it was actually arguably better than the school
Well, that was the
newspaper.
point. The school
It
newspaper
seemed like a
wasn't providing people with
It
enough
seemed like
options.
a Satan Lee Speaking article.
Now for people that
Did it not?
It did. It was like an Onion article.
It was sick.
It was a total Onion article. But in high school, they had this thing called Saintly Speaking, and I was like, this newspaper's just not giving enough information.
Not hard hitting enough.
So I was like, I started passing out this other newspaper, and they like for free. Like
Actually.
I'd pass out this other
worked really hard
newspaper.
on it.
Yeah, I'd pass out this other newspaper,
This was
and
the
the
first
faculty
green
were
light.
snatching it up. They were basically burning books.
It was the original green light media.
Yeah, it
we
was.
have to get our hands on it.
I don't know about that.
If they
Kyle,
burn all the publications over there at St. Anne's.
what might be worse than what Sean McDermott did was his clock management at the end of the game, but we'll talk about that. And then, the Bears. I didn't even mention that. It's another B team. And the Justin Fields fan club. That is America's team. Whether you're a Bears fan or somebody who wants to see him extradited to a city near you, Justin Fields is going to be a guy in this league. I told
already
you,
is.
I've been clinging to this bandwagon. I've almost fell off a couple times. Seats taken. If you're trying to get on, there's only a few people that are still there. I want to see him somewhere he can thrive. Kyle, Army, Navy, both those guys. Army and Navy, all the guys on land, the guys in the boats.
And the gals.
And the gals, right, exactly. But the guys on the field.
They'll shoot your ass too, Chris.
Yes, they will. And I want to say this. It was the worst push of all time, that under pushing. Did you see the way that game ended?
You know, I don't know if you saw my Twitter on
28
Saturday, but
on
I
the
woke
nose.
up and said, no college football, almost the end of pro football, to which everybody said, you anti-American.
You
son of a
anti-American.
bitch.
I mean, and Kyle.
I just knew Oregon wasn't playing. The championship happened last week, and I assumed everybody just took the day off. It
You
was
really
like the
walked
Lord's
into that
week.
one.
You know what I mean?
You really walked into that one. So did Shohei Ohtani, announcing his. I mean, first he hates the American media. Now he hates America because he's announcing his free agency signing in the middle of the Army Navy game. Okay, I don't know if
I didn't realize that's how it went down.
It's supposed to be a thing.
And it was
Surprise
a
attack.
terrible-
Surprise attack. McDermott maybe McDermott's pregame speech was like, guys, remember
Shohei,
Pearl
too
Harbor?
soon.
They weren't coming back.
Shohei, too
and it's
soon.
the thing with us going to Kansas City. It's burn the ships, or
You know, it's funny because the media members that follow Shohei, they're essentially burning the ships
Right.
in their lives. They're
Yeah.
just following this guy around.
What
they're
about
like whatever
Shohei?
we
And
have
for
to
him
do.
to sneak up on the Army and the Navy.
He snuck up on the Army and the Navy at the same time. I've seen this before.
It's one of the most unreal. I almost want to say I've never heard this before, but I've heard this before.
Yeah, I have heard this before. Anyways, at least the media got
Chris is
we're
speechless.
playing golf like the guy at Pearl Harbor that could have stopped it.
Too soon, Shohei.
Okay, anyways. But the armed forces, Kyle, I guess they misunderstood when I'm always saying that all I want for our troops is safety. Not taking a safety at the end of the game.
Hilarious.
You know, with all that money on the line, some people had 27 and a half. They were partying in the streets. Okay?
Chris,
and with World War III, people are talking about World War III right now. America and the American troops are in America's team. Fucking North Korea. What, you got to threaten me? You got $48 billion. You're practically Amazon, dude.
Did you watch that
It's like
whole-
going to war with Amazon with employees who are paid even worse.
Did you watch the beginning of that?
Treated even
Did you
worse.
watch the beginning of that game?
Yeah, what?
I don't understand that, like, each Army and Navy has, like, 10 people that are held hostage before the game, and then they, like, release them. Did you
What?
not see that?
What?
Like, it's like members of the other thing, and they release
other
them,
thing.
and then they run,
like
and
war
then they
games.
jump over the wall to get in the crowd
It's
with,
war
like,
games.
there's prospective Navy men and then Army men. But it was like they talked about it, but I just didn't understand.
missed
A
it.
long-standing tradition at the Army-Navy football game is to conduct a formal prisoner exchange as part of the pregame activities. The prisoners are cadets and midshipmen currently spending this semester studying at the sister academy.
This
These
is
are
a
the
little.
rookies.
This is a little.
These are the fucking rookies. They tie them up. And they're
But for
like,
a whole
you
semester,
you keep Johnson for a semester, and we'll free him at the game.
how crazy is
front
that?
of Bill
Like I
Belichick.
thought, I didn't know if I heard that whole thing right or not, but
That's crazy.
Operation Belichick.
That's crazy. I mean, anyways, but whatever they want to do it because you're America's team. The troops,
They
America.
look so sharp in the football game.
Yeah, they look sharp.
The uniforms are sick.
And then also, backup QBs. You got Flacco out there throwing the ball 40-plus times. You got Browning throwing the ball 40. And he doesn't have the strongest arm, this Browning guy. It's an ironic last name, right? Like he's more of a Red Rider.
Well, it's an everyman rifle, the Browning. I don't know. Is it a shotgun? Is it a rifle? I think it's an all-encompassing weapon.
you shoot your eye out.
Hey,
It may not
he
be
was-
the best one, but it fucking works.
It works, and it's working for the
There's
Bengals.
a reason you know the name.
Here's my last one, Kyle. Luke Long, my son Luke Long. He had the triple crown this week. He had pneumonia, strep throat, and flu A. Okay, now he was inoculated, so the flu wasn't bothering him as much. But to have the triple crown, to come off IR Saturday to go watch his older brother Waylon's basketball game, the Knicks, they got the win. He returned to the monkey bars where I believe that he contracted all 3 viruses last week and was able to play on the playground. It was a real great moment. Waylon, 2 offensive rebounds, 1 defensive rebound, 2 assists, a swish, all in the first quarter alone. It was a great day for the family, and I thank Luke Long for taking one for the team because nobody in my house got sick besides Luke.
Hey, here's an op-ed on that situation.
What is it?
The rest of the stat line for the team, the flu.
Well, yeah.
Potentially Luke,
Yeah.
given a couple assists. He didn't even play in the game.
Exactly, dude. I mean, and he protected he took a charge for the family, which is the most important thing. So, shout out to Luke.
So that was number 5.
That's number 5.
Okay, it's my America's teams list, and I'm sorry to start it this way, Chris, but the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, it's okay.
I often wondered if Jerry was going to make it long enough and have the energy and the youth to be able to make it long enough to see the Cowboys with a team that truly had a chance to make a run in the playoffs. And it's right there in front of us now. The Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott playing like an MVP, the offensive line stepping up in big moments. Up front, my Madden League is updating there. You can hear all my notifications, so I'll mute that. But it's the Dak Prescott-led Dallas Cowboys. It's the defense showing up in big moments and making it hard for the opposing quarterbacks week in, week out. It's guys stepping up all over that team. And there's so many dudes around the country wearing Cowboys jerseys that are excited and they have something to cheer for when they've been the butt of the joke for so long.
They still wear the jerseys even when they're the butt of the
They
joke,
laugh,
so-
cry, burn it.
Yeah.
They do it all. But,
Yeah.
this week and many weeks this season, it's been the Dallas Cowboys. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers, not only the best team in the league, but they've answered questions about their doubters the whole way through, particularly Kyle Shanahan. He set up his quarterback to be able to showcase a skill set that has been doubted. I mean, they said the guy can't throw deep. He's like, well, let's just go for a fucking shot play, Brock. Throw it up there. And he does it. And, the whole thing reminds me of Tom Brady. And I know he has no rings, and I know he's done nothing in comparison to Tom Brady, but the thing just smells a bit
He's
Brady-ish.
a bigger part of that offense than Brady in the early chapters.
It
of his
smells
career.
very Brady-ish to me.
He's a bigger part of that offense.
And the thing that stands out to me is the way that his teammates talk about him. And it's the way that Tom's teammates used to talk about him. They're like, you don't know Tom. Like, you don't understand. I mean, that's the sense that I get about Brock Purdy and the guys in that locker room that really know him and really love him. Number 2, San Francisco 49ers. Number 3, I was in Manhattan this weekend, and one thing I didn't know that happens around the holidays is SantaCon.
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 The SantaCon goers in New York City. I saw thousands of people participating. It's like a morning, noon, and night bar crawl, and the only rule is you have to dress like Santa, and I guess just get absolutely fucking shithoused. Everybody was on their best behavior.
I'm in.
Everybody was fucked up. Everybody was dressed like Santa.
I'm in.
I don't know what it's in support of, but it's like a Grand Theft Auto online lobby where people all look like creative characters. I'm like, look at all these lunatics out here. That was number 3, SantaCon goers in New York City. Number 4, the Bears. I mean, you had them on your list, but you didn't give them their own category. They were in the B category. Number 4, Chicago Bears. It's been interesting to see this team, have a metamorphosis. They've kind of had a renaissance here at the end of the year. They started off, 0-5, 0-4, or 0-5, and they've gone on a run here. Justin Fields has done great. Montez Sweat getting added was the catalyst, I truly feel like, for this entire team, because Ryan Poles, when he was in Kansas City prior to being the GM in Chicago, he got to see what a true physical mismatch at the defensive line position can do, not only for the chaos it's going to entail in the offense, but for the secondary. The secondary is going to have opportunities to make plays, as we've seen in Kansas City. So he gets the biggest physical mismatch he can with Montez Sweat, and this defense is taking off. You talked at length about the secondary last week.
They played really good.
And I love that. But they're all playing up.
Yeah.
They're playing up. It's the tide that rises all ships. That's Montez Sweat for this unit. And then obviously Fields to DJ Moore. Nobody is appreciated and loved more than Justin Fields when he's having success. People love this guy. Number 5, Monday Night Football fans. According to an article that Matt told me about that he read on The Athletic, they're airing 2 games at the same time.
That's true.
To gain real data.
I can confirm.
To gain real data on viewer interest. A lot of people like watching 2 games at the same time, Chris. So I think ESPN and Disney, they're like, well, we can harvest a a lot of information.
Harvest organs.
In this day and age,
that's
that's what's important. It's harvesting organs. It's the cloud organ.
Yep. They're harvesting your attention span is what they're doing. Like all year long. Oh, Monday night's not enough. Hey, Christmas, you get the day off. Nah, fuck the
Black
NBA.
Friday.
We're doing Black Friday. You want to go to Best Buy, you got to have it on your phone. The whole thing. The NFL's ruling the world.
Well, when they've had 2 Monday night games, they've tried staggering them by like an hour, but they're seeing of putting them at the same time.
Yeah, it's weird. Just put them at the same time.
Yeah.
Most people have 2 TVs, 2 screens, and neither game is a banger. You got your phone and you got a TV screen. You got 2 screens.
I guess when you say
Shit, you can split screen your phone.
Yeah.
So this is an ad read here. So we've
let's
got
hear from Cal.
this podcast, this one right here,
Yep,
the
this
Green
one.
Light
Yep.
Podcast, the Monday show. This podcast is brought to you by Cash App, the all-in-one app for spending, sending, and setting easy-to-track savings goals. With multiple tools for saving, spending, and sending, Cash App is an all-in-one way to stay in control of your money.
Yes, it is.
Whether I need to send money to Macon, still haven't. Send a Cash App payout to the Greenlight locals or settle up with friends after dinner. I can always count on Cash App with security boosts, discounts, a free-to-order debit card, no overdraft fees. Cash App is like a BFF for your money. Cash App, the exclusive financial services partner of Greenlight. Download it in the App Store or Google Play to see why it's the #1 finance app in the U.S. App Store.
Great ad read. Let's get to the part of the show that so many of you have showed up to hear about, which is what's wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm just going to go in here because, last week sucked. It showed you how far off this team is when it comes to, playing a San Francisco. But you thought, hey, Dallas, even though on paper it looks like Dallas is probably the favorite, you thought that they'd show you more in this game. And I know Dallas is really good at home and all that stuff. Listen, for the Eagles, the offensive scheme, not as good as it was last year. We know. And on both sides of the ball, that's probably true, which is, I think, the #1 issue, when it comes to the coaching is just these coordinators, making these changes. It hasn't worked out as well. Not as glaringly defensively. I think that's personnel. I'll get to that. But the problem last night was not the scheme. It was turnovers and money downs. And if you can't convert in key situations and you turn the ball over in plus territory and your best players fail you, because that's what it is. If you wanted to go beat this team, if you want to go beat these teams on the road or at home in the playoffs, your best players have to play well. And your best players did not play their best games. I mean, Eagles pulled out all the stops. They're running fake punts on Bones, by the way, who was the special teams coach, Fossil, he's like the fake punt king. He used to do one a game with Hecker. To get that fake punt run on him, you were like, okay, the Eagles are really pulling out all the stops, the QB run game, the whole thing. But drive 1, you get Jalen fumbling in plus territory. Drive 2, you get a 3rd and 5. And you know my biggest no on a team that's chasing touchdowns, especially on the road, and you know you're going to need them because you see what the defense looks like. It's 3rd and 5. You take a shot to A.J. Brown, and he drops that ball. Okay, so you get a field goal out of that. But, you know, part of me is like constantly, if you're 3rd and 5, you know, get yourself to 4th and short where you can run that tush-push.
Give your
take
offense
throw
an
caution
opportunity.
to win, dude. And I understand being aggressive, but in that situation, I know it's on his hands, but he didn't catch the ball. So then you're down 24-6 out of the half, right? And the run game's going, and you get another A.J. Brown fumble. Imagine if it's 24-17, even if you kick a field goal after that Fletcher Cox fumble for a touchdown that Jalen Carter picked up. I mean, like, that's a totally different ball game. But instead, you fumble the football.
Easiest scoop and score ever, by the way.
You know, totally easy. He was in coast mode.
But I mean, just the way that it, you know, there was no error on the scoop.
No, it's perfect.
No error on the run.
He never changed speeds. He didn't panic. He was looking at the key is you got to look at the jumbo.
He's done that before in practice.
The reason he's defensive rookie of the year for me is because he didn't celebrate after that. Which
He's done it a million times.
Like, don't be jumping up and down like you're down fucking 2 scores. Okay.
It's not Deontay
4th
Johnson.
and 9, you're short of the sticks. You know, what's your play on 3rd down to get you closer? Devontae Smith, red zone fumble when it's all over. And I think, like, when you talk about this Dallas defense, yeah, the Eagles pissed down their legs, in my opinion. Calling it what it is on the biggest stage. But Dallas made plays defensively. Got to give them credit. Al Harris, my old teammate, who's a coach there, Sirianni joked about trying to hire him away or get him hired away because he's a real problem for the Eagles and for anybody playing the Cowboys. The secondary, the defense, they've been so opportunistic. And you think about they're down their number 1 ball hawk. And they've got a guy leading the league and he's setting a record in pick sixes and that sort of thing. So defensively, though, this is the thing that will kill this team down the stretch. Okay, you can say if you're the Eagles and if you're an Eagles fan, hey, but we turn the ball over in plus territory. Hey, we move the ball a lot. The problem is if you're going to have to sustainably score 30 points a game to hang with these teams, these things pop up. And chasing points against the San Francisco 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys is not a winning proposition. So you've got personnel issues. We know that. But, like, on a big 3rd down, you got Roby on Lamb early. You've had bad matchups all year that's plagued them, and that's the schematic part I'm talking about. You got guys outside sometimes on their best guys, and sometimes you don't have a choice. But when you control it, fucking control it. And then before the half, they actually get a sack on a 2-minute drive, which is supposed to be a drive killer, Kyle, right?
Was that the Hassan Reddick?
Hassan Reddick sack.
Which I thought he blew up Dak Prescott.
I know. And
it was one of those awkward, like, ooh, please get up, Dak.
Yeah.
We've seen it before with Dak. He goes down and it's you don't want to look.
Well, I thought
and
they might
Hassan's
flag
one of
him,
those guys.
but it was one of those things where the offensive lineman was the reason he went low. But, like, you should kill a drive with that. And at that point, you're playing for survival. You're down 17-6. You get the ball coming out. You get 2nd and 15 after that sack. It's not as much the 3rd down, which I'll get to, which is abhorrent. It's the worst thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. I wanted to vomit all over my shoes. But it's giving up 10 yards on 2nd and 15, setting up 3rd and 6, 9-10 yards on 2nd and 15. And then I've never seen this. Ringo getting flagged twice in one play. You're at your own 40. Playing defense, you end up in Dallas plus territory after those 2 penalties, a face mask and a DPI, and at that point you're like, just kick a field goal for fuck's sake. They hit Cooks. They couldn't sort the stack down there at the goal line. The defense just doesn't look great, whether it's the run game, whether it's the linebackers. The pass rush wasn't getting there. And I'll say this because it's not all about the Eagles. It is about the Dallas Cowboys in this game. I got to serve the people here. The Eagles fans are here. I think there's some tough truths that you're going to hear when you talk about the Eagles, and you won't hear them again for another month because they're going to beat these teams. But Dallas, Tyron Smith is healthy. He looks like prime Tyron Smith. He was locking down Josh Sweat last night. CD Lamb looks like a number 1. People are always like, is he a number 1? Is he not a number 1? He's a number 1. Ferguson is a real guy. Cooks is coming on. And we used to say, Kyle, it's all the run game. You know, Dak, he survives because of these guys up front, because
the Great Wall of Dallas.
Pollard. Yeah, and you know what?
There's some truth to that. That offensive line looks great, and they're young. They've got an old Hall of Famer at right guard. They've got a left tackle who is somehow you look at it and PFF's got him rated as the #1 left tackle in football, and I'm like, that can't be right. And then you watch him play, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Tyron Smith.
Yeah, he's got guys locked up, and he looks like prime Tyron Smith. But the thing is now, because of the offense and the way it's changed, you can't blame the success on anybody else but Dak.
He's the reason.
He is the reason for the season for the Dallas Cowboys. And a saying we used to have in the league is they remember what you do in December. They remember December. And so this game that he played last week against Seattle, this game that he played against the Eagles, he's the reason they're winning these games. And to me, if the season ended today, he's the MVP.
Yes.
You couldn't hear that from anybody more biased, you would say, towards the Eagles. Like, he is the MVP, and we'll see what happens.
Big credit to Mike McCarthy, too. The whole season's been vindication for this guy. His philosophy, the way he goes about leading his group, and I mean, I love his game plan week in, week out, their ability to score points. You're looking at a team who's scoring a lot of fucking points week in, week out. And I remember Kellen Moore was the guy that said, I want to score points. And Mike McCarthy said, what, Chris? I just want to win games.
Yeah.
Consequently, when you're winning games and you got Dak Prescott playing the best football of his life, and you've drafted well and you've retained talent, you develop that group up front, you're going to score a lot of fucking points.
Dude, I mean, like, for an old NFL guy that we made fun of, and, Kellen Moore is the next head coach and the whole thing, like, well, the Chargers offense has floundered. It got even worse, if that was possible. And Dallas has gotten better offensively, and it looks like Dak's really comfortable. And that throw at the end of the game where Sweat actually won a rush and he was bearing down on him, and the game at this point is in hand, but that throw down the left sideline is where me and Nolan turn to each other. And I've been on the other side of this thing, and Nolan, being a Philly guy, he's like, Dak's Dak. We turn, and he's like, Dak's not Dak right now. This is new Dak.
Yeah.
And so, there's not a guy that I could be happier for on another team playing well. I'd take the Cowboys thing out of it, because whether you're an Eagles fan or not, I really respect this dude. I've been around him. I played against him. He's a leader. I'm on Inside the NFL. I get to hear all the B-roll, all the mic'd up stuff. Last week, watching him lead that team against the Seahawks, I kind of got chills, man. I'm not going to, because when he had them in the huddle, it's not fake talk. He's really applying leadership skills in that huddle and on that sideline. And I think, I can't say enough about how well he's played. The Cowboys offense hadn't punted since Thanksgiving. So they are a fucking wagon. And when they do have to kick, they get this guy, Brandon Aubrey, who lines up from the star and just boots it through. And hats off to him. Actually, hats on to him, because after the game, he kept his hat on and he shut up and he let the football players talk. They had him in the circle. I loved his kicker answers. It was like, yep. I was just trying my best, and back to Tony Pollard and Dak, the guys that won us this game. But he could play a big role for them down the stretch if he's kicking balls like that.
I was kind of like the Niners meeting a couple weeks ago. There was Kittle, there was Purdy, there was Samuel, there was Ayuk.
Yeah. Purdy
said like 5 words, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not comparing Purdy to his kicker.
No, but Aubrey had the same program.
The juxtaposition of a guy being surrounded by titans of industry.
And letting
you're like, hey.
I'm just going to let them have the ball.
So hats off, hats on.
So hats off and hats on to him. But like Philly, if you look at the records down the stretch, Kyle, the way this is laid out is like, I still think the Eagles win the East, which is huge. If you want to beat this Dallas team, you're not going to Jerry's World to do it. I've seen enough. Okay, like, you turn the ball over, all this stuff. I'm not going to – listen, I put the Eagles in some teasers last night. I'm not even betting the Eagles if they get in the playoffs and go to Jerry's World. I'm not necessarily going to put my nuts on the table for a situation like that. You can say ye of little faith or whatever you want to say, but it's not cap.
I feel like you're gonna bet.
I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm not. Like, you could make these hollow predictions.
Hey, Dak Prescott versus the Eagles the last 2 times, 53 for 83, 645, 5 tuds, no pick.
And that's not going to change. So the offense has to score at a high click. But if you look at Philly at Seattle, and that's a monumental game. This is for the division for them, because then you get the Giants, the Cards, and the Giants. The Cowboys. They go at Bills, at Finns, Lions, Commies. If both teams win out, as I understand it, the Eagles still win the East. So the Niners are the real key here if you want home field advantage, because that's your shot to get into the bowl, in my opinion. It's just too much to ask to have to go to San Francisco. Could you play a lot better? Could you turn those field goals into touchdowns in the first quarter? I don't know. But right now, unless somebody gets hurt on the Niners, there's nobody better in the NFC. Now, they have the Cards.
NFC, 2 great teams, 1 good team.
I don't think the Cowboys are a great team.
At times, I do.
Right, okay, but at times you could say, hey, you look at the Eagles and you're like, holy
really
shit.
Good.
But the point I'm
I
making,
think they're really good at times.
you can't put the Niners and the Cowboys in the same class,
No.
in my opinion.
You can't.
Right now, it's a 1-2-3. It's clean for me. And
Okay.
It's because the Eagles haven't.
We can agree there.
The Eagles have personnel issues, and they also have schematic issues. And the Cowboys are maximizing their scheme.
And money down issues.
And the Cowboys, the way you beat them, Kyle, is you run the football.
Yep.
Well, that script is not going to work, because the Eagles were running the football, but they couldn't stick to it. They panicked. They had to panic. The Niners have at the Cards, the Ravens, the Commies, and the Rams. So the only way the Eagles, can hope to get back in this thing, in my opinion, is if the Ravens go to this, not the stick, to Levi's, and beat
To
the
the pants.
dungarees off them, man. That's the only way that this happens. And so there's going to be a lot of people watching that Ravens game. And then also, interestingly, I think the Philly wins the East if they don't get home field advantage. But let's say San Francisco loses a game. They lose that Baltimore game, and Philly wins out, okay? Philly loses one game, all crossed up here.
Yep.
Philly and Dallas lose one game.
Okay.
Okay, imagine this. Philly loses in Seattle, Dallas loses to the Ravens. Then the Niners, I think, let's put it this way. I'm all confused. If the Niners have to make a decision week 18 when they play the Rams,
Yeah.
let's say they don't have anything to play for.
So they sit
They
there,
might
guys.
have to let the Rams into the play. They might effectively let the Rams into
Yep.
the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So there's a couple games here that are really interesting.
I don't
on
want
a-
to play the Rams in the playoffs.
Nobody does, right? So maybe they say, hey, we don't want these guys in. Not that we think that they can beat us, but they did take them down to the wire, sort of, in LA earlier this season. It feels like many moons ago. I actually think the Niners, who haven't won a lot of close games, that was one of them, that the Rams were in that game. So I think there's some interesting games
And
here.
that was before the stretch of injury. That was before Trent and Debo.
Oh yeah, this is early
so
in
that
the
was
season. This is early in the season.
full wean San Francisco.
Full win San Francisco, and they got points before the half in that game. I think they went down and got a touchdown. So they felt the pressure of playing the Rams. Like they do not like playing the Rams. They don't hate playing anybody because they're so fucking good. But the Rams in Week 18, we'll see what happens where it sits, and that's going to be an interesting one.
We're going to
So
talk more about the Rams, but they did start the game against the Ravens with 9 straight runs.
It was incredible,
So I have an appreciation for McVay and his.
no question.
Yeah, he's got some girth to his game plan.
The Rams remind me of the Bills in that, not in that. I think the Rams are maximizing what they have.
Yeah.
McVay and the Bills have not gotten the most out of it, but they're here, and both teams, if they slide in, can be dangerous.
100%.
Right? But both teams have the odds stacked against them. Now, the only difference is yesterday the Bills won their big game. The Rams, although they played lights out, they lost that game. Let's talk about the Lions, because the Lions, they found a way to lose again against the Bears. It felt like they lost the first game. They didn't. They were 92% to lose at the end of the game. The Bears come back.
How do we let these kitty cats get in the NFC North lead, man?
I don't know, man.
How do we get these little felines, these fake-ass pirates, these
Oh, see, here we go.
These-
Yeah.
these Tommy Tough Nut motherfuckers?
I just don't think they're that good.
They ain't
Kyle.
that good.
That's the problem.
And I don't think they're that tough because they got out tough against the Chicago Bears.
Chicago might not be very good, but they're very tough.
They're a tough group, and they run off of the engine that is that defense. And it's been Matt Eberflus taking that thing over since the Feds did a sweep.
Yeah.
And making sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And I was actually in there this past week. I went to Hallis Hall for the first time since I stopped playing. And this isn't about me, but this is about the guys that I got to see. And they're a big fucking group in person. Like, you know the names, you know what they look like, and then you see them in person, you're like, damn, that's what the safety looks like? That guy's big as hell. Roshan Johnson, the running back, huge. Justin Fields got to meet him. And you just get the feeling when you're walking in there that these guys they're not packing it in. They're in the hunt.
Yeah.
So they approach this game against the Lions as we're on the hunt. And a couple weeks ago, they played the Lions. They had them by 2 possessions with a couple minutes left, and they pissed down their leg. They threw the game. So for them to get a huge win like this, Justin Fields throws for 1, runs for 1. They effectively beat the hell out of the Detroit Lions at home. There's something to play for here if you're Chicago. There's something to play for. And for the Lions, Jared Goff was under pressure by Montez Sweat. Great acquisition. And overall, I just love the way the Bears are playing as a unit for each other.
That defense has completely morphed with him, to the point where we can, 10, 14 days ago, I can talk them up after Monday Night Football because all three levels are playing well because you're getting pressure on the quarterback and the catalyst that he is. At the beginning of the season, you said, okay, they think their win total was 6.5, and we're saying, hey, maybe we'll take the over on that. The one thing about this defense is, yeah, they have some holes, but the pass rush, they went out and got Ngakoue. It really didn't do anything for them. Montez Sweat, immediate ROI. And I think for the Lions, the concerning thing is not only this year, because if you got to go on the road, if you got to go outside, I don't trust you. I just don't trust you. Do something to make me trust you, okay? Like Lions fans got pissed at me earlier this year when I said, I don't think they're a contender. And then I placated you guys on a winning streak and was like, hey, I don't like the word contender because I want to include you, okay? Because anybody can win a fucking Super Bowl if you get in. Anything can happen in this league, not in college football. Don't compare the Eagles in 2017 to the Florida State semi-holes this year, okay? But the problem is the Lions, when they play in division, okay, you're staring at your future. If Justin Fields is still there, okay, or if you're playing the Packers, Jordan Love's going to be the guy of the future. The last couple weeks, you got jumped. You didn't just get beat. You got jumped by these teams. The last 3 games you played division opponents. Like the Bears jumped you, right? They're up 2 scores late. The Packers made you play the game on their terms, and the Bears did it again yesterday. And over the last month, after that Raiders game, I started to see a difference in the way this team operates and that they turn the ball over. And, I made kind of a big deal about that, but I couldn't stand on the table because Jared Goff has had less turnover-worthy plays this year before that point than most guys in the league. He was down at the bottom in that metric. But over the last month, 10 of the 14 turnovers have come against division opponents. And since Week 7, Goff is tied for the most turnovers in the league. Before that, not something they did. So they're turning the ball over. Yesterday, couldn't get Laporta, couldn't get Gibbs the ball. And for somebody like Ben Johnson, who I've been jumping out of the gym on this guy, and I think he could be a head coach somewhere next year. Luckily, he didn't take the Carolina job.
Ben Johnson, Brian Johnson.
You got to find a way to fix this problem. And the run game becomes an issue because you still run the ball well, but you're playing out of phase, just like the Eagles. And, you go away from the run game. You're not getting Gibbs the ball. You're not getting Laporta the ball. In the third quarter this year alone, and you saw this yesterday, they do not score. 6-7 of these games this year, they have not scored, not a point in the third quarter. So what are they doing at the half to make adjustments? I don't know, but you get away from the run game. And here's the crazy thing, Kyle. On 2nd and 10, if you're the Lions, what's your best play to get you to 3rd and medium?
David Montgomery?
Yeah. And on 2nd and 10 yesterday, or 2nd and long, they continually threw the ball. And in those situations on 3rd and long, they were terrible. And, late in the game, they converted a 3rd and 10 down 28-13, second to last possession. That's the first 3rd and long, by my count, that they converted all day. So when you look at these two quarterbacks, I feel like you're looking at the future of the game on one sideline with Justin Fields, the escapability, the mobility. Talk about the thing that preceded the worst sequence of defensive football I might have seen all year, which is the 4th and 13. Now, they missed a hold. They missed the grounding, right? Dan Campbell's freaking out on the sideline, and that might be the difference. But it's Justin Fields getting the ball out, living to fight another day, and then 4th and 13, Aiden Hutchinson jumps offside. You get a free play, and Jacobs is burnt.
Aiden Hutchinson had a rough day yesterday.
Well, he had a rough day, Kyle, and I'll say this, he did end up with a sack. It was a bit of a cover sack, but then in the red zone, people are talking about, on Justin Fields' scramble for the touchdown, that's on him.
Who is it on?
I got to know.
You weren't in the meeting. So.
I got to know who called. Did somebody call that game, or did he take a natural TV?
There is a positive from that, and we can.
For people at home who didn't see it,
Aiden Hutchinson has contained responsibility.
In the red zone.
From a simpleton perspective, we're looking at a 15, 16 yard line.
You're in the red zone.
Spread formation. Justin Fields sees the rush. Aiden Hutchinson runs underneath, so he crosses the defensive
left
tackle.
end and loops around the
so now there's no defensive end. If you're playing Madden, you see that and you're like, oh, I'm going to fucking.
And he tries to play out of it. And so some people were
but Darnell Wright was huge and square, and he stopped the 3 techniques rusher who realized that he had contained now, was trying to get back outside. Big 58 right tackle.
I kind of felt like it was a natural. I kind of felt like
It was, but it was selfish. It
I
felt
don't
like, in my opinion.
It's a tough. I don't think it's selfish. I think sometimes, Kyle, if you've never been in that situation, it's not like you're like, oh, I got to win.
I got benched in junior college. That's why I'm an O-line.
Yeah, but you can get benched for running inside in the red zone. I've done it.
I got benched for that.
You were playing defense?
At Saddleback.
You
I
were
played
playing
defense
yeah,
my
played
first year,
defense.
and they benched me.
Do it in the pros and watch Justin Fields walk into the end zone.
I'll never do it again.
It's happened to me before where, you're trying to win. You feel like somebody needs to make a play. And late in this game, those 2 touchdowns were completely avoidable by the Lions, and Aiden had a hand in both of them. I don't want to hammer him on taking an inside move in the red zone because a lot of times if the 3 techniques high, it works out. I want to give credit to the Bears for sorting that game, right?
And Justin's quick reactions, the 4th and 13 free play with Aiden jumping,
Yeah.
him hitting DJ Moore, and they asked DJ Moore after the game, what'd you see? And he was like, well, I saw a free play, I saw press man, and I gave him the meep,
Yep.
which is like the I'm out of here. And then Justin Fields hit the meep on the fail to contain. So
Now, Hutch did some good things.
good quick thinking by Justin Fields, which people have ragged on him for.
Hutch is not the problem with this defense, but unfortunately, when you're the guy everybody's looking at, and there's not a lot of help around you, and McNeil's down, and you're just not very good. You don't have a lockdown corner. There's a lot of stuff, from a design standpoint that reminds me of the Eagles. There's Eagles have better players on defense, but the sum of the parts, you're still getting shredded. And the same thing here with Detroit. Hutchinson can't do it all. I just want to give credit to Justin Fields. Komet on 3rd down, 3rd and 4 at the end of the third, with somebody in his face at midfield. That's a Chris off the couch moment for me. The throw outside, I think it was to Mooney, that he fits into such a tight window. Don't tell me he can't make all the throws. Okay, so if you're down on Justin Fields, that's your right. But this guy's going to make somebody happy next year. And, it's going to be interesting seeing if they do package him, what's the trade haul for him? Somebody in this building yesterday said, not dissimilar to a Zach Wilson or a Sam Darnold trade. And I said, that's blasphemy because I think Justin Fields is worth for some of these teams.
Unbelievable
like in
somebody said that. They were in this building?
I'm not going to say who.
Did you tell them to get out of here? Are they in this building right now?
Don't look. No, they're not going to. They're in this building right now. I'm not going to. No, it wasn't Nate. Okay, Kyle, we're not going to go through this right now because it's messy. It's a messy take, in my opinion.
Somebody said that.
Somebody said that they might be high on Zach Wilson or something, and I am too. But here's the thing: I'm higher on Justin Fields. Okay,
they're high on dog shit.
Okay,
that's been
they're huffing dog shit.
Yeah.
Okay, the Tide Pods, whatever it is, but I think the bottom line is somebody is going to be thirsty for Justin Fields, like in Atlanta. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's picking late in the first round or in the middle of the first round if they send a 1.
Yeah.
Okay? Motherfuckers, people are nodding at me.
Ryan Poles is about to be the biggest genius, whichever way he goes. If he keeps Justin Fields and Justin dominates and they build around him, or if they fleece somebody for a Justin Fields.
If you're the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, what I saw yesterday is the reason we might not win the South, and it's the quarterback. There's other issues for sure, but the quarterback in Atlanta, okay, we've harped on this all year long. What do you think that team looks like with Justin Fields under center? Okay? I mean, they're a playoff team. And they're actually, if the defense is a little bit, and they've been better lately, but if they have more playmakers on defense, I actually think they're a pretty good team. The problem is when you say, he's not worth a 1, yeah, but if somebody's willing to pay him,
yeah, what's it worth to them?
That's what the market. It's like when a guy gets quote unquote overpaid. Well, he wasn't worth that. Yeah, he's worth whatever the market's willing to pay for him.
People thought Christian Kirk was overpaid, but then we saw that just one testicle is worth at least 21 points.
Yes. And who are you going to get in the middle of the first round that's going to turn your team around? You better find a Patrick Mahomes.
It's the Montez Sweat discussion.
You better find a Patrick Mahomes.
You had to add Montez Sweat because there wasn't Montez Sweat in the draft.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, we like Justin Fields.
Back-to-back wins for Matt Eberflus.
We're rooting for him. And Eberflus at one point is probably saying, hey, perfect world for me. We can trade Justin Fields and I can still keep my job. But the only way he keeps his job, and I don't know if he could realistically keep his job, but the only way is probably if they win out or come close to it and Justin looks great, then maybe you see him again and this defense continues to improve. Because I think that defense is close to being a real thing. And I think that offensive...
Top 5?
a couple players away from being in that conversation.
Let's do the top 5 right now.
Well, the Chiefs are number 1 for me. I know people are going to jump on me about the Ravens, but I still think the Chiefs are number 1.
SF.
KC, San Francisco,
Baltimore.
Baltimore, all in the same category. I know we're forgetting Cleveland, but they play much better at home. The Cowboys are in that conversation. Whoever you want to put first, to me, there's no clear number 1 because the Browns have given up a lot of yards in some games. You know, I haven't seen the Chiefs have to win a shootout.
Dolphins.
You know what I mean? The Dolphins have played a lot better, and especially if you look at like the Dolphins.
And the Bears
first
are
half of
11
the
here.
season. So the Bears are in this conversation where if you add a couple pieces and some of these other teams lose a couple pieces, you're a top 10 defense. You could be on the fringe of the top 5. I don't want to jump out of the gym for what I'm seeing from the Chicago Bears because Jared Goff, as we mentioned last week, is not an outdoor quarterback. He's 27th in the league in passing rating in those situations, right ahead of Geno in Seattle. But the point is, there is momentum.
Under
and if
pressure.
You're Eberflus and you do find yourself keeping your job, you might be keeping Justin too because that's probably the only way, right? You got to go off the last month of the season.
And they have to because if they win the last games on their schedule, if they win out, then they have just over a 50% chance to be in the playoffs. I think
They're not mathematically eliminated, but they would need.
We're not out of this thing.
even with winning out.
And it doesn't. I mean, listen, he's just making it hard on the McCaskies. Far cry from a month or two ago, watching him going into the half saying they need to wrap and tackle better against the Chargers. Like, they just look a lot better. And at that point, look how different things are. This is why you can't jump out of the gym on any of this shit. Bajent's the future.
Matt
Bajent's
Canada is
better
the
than
reason that the
Justin
Steelers
Fields.
suck.
Matt Canada is the reason. Well, I think he is a lot of the reasons the Steelers suck for so long. I think right now not having Kenny
I think it's a
Pickett.
culture issue. I think Tomlin needs to get out of town.
Wow. Kyle Baum. Well, Kyle, there is an argument for that because
It's called the precedent is, the proof's in the pudding. It's every year there's issues with stars on the roster. It's either who's building that roster.
he would say that too.
Who's building the roster? Who's responsible for the behavior and the culture of the roster?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, it's Mike Tomlin. So yeah, you've planted your flag. We'll get into the AFC wildcard race in a little bit, but the Niners take care of business. The Lions falter. The Niners are consistent. They're constant, and they found themselves in a game here. Although the first fucking play of the game, they go 74 yards. Trent reaches the 5 effortlessly, like nobody in the game, and all day he was getting those alleys set up for them on the perimeter. It was like a run clinic for those guys, and it's like that every week. But Seattle, I got to hand it to them. They got so much to be excited about offensively over the last 2 weeks.
Early. They bit back immediately.
But it just feels like too little too late for them. You talk about the tie breaks they don't own with the Rams. You talk about where they are in the NFC wildcard race. Green Bay starting to win. Like, where's Seattle's chances?
Well, they're
right
always
now?
holding Sean McVay's pocket. So
Seattle's
at the
got
end of the day, it's like,
Yeah. Get
what
back.
are we going to do? We got to deal with old Shawnee boy with the gel in his hair up there.
Well, no, Sean's not going anywhere, and the Niners aren't going anywhere, and the Seahawks are now, they were double-digit dogs as it stood with Geno as the quarterback before Drew Lock was announced. Like, at some point you look up and you say, hey, we've nailed so many things. We spend most of the year blowing these guys about the personnel moves that they make, the guys they draft, Abe Lucas, Cross. They've got 2 young stud corners. Maffei's playing well. Charbonnet looks great. He's making people miss last night. I mean, like at the second level.
Crowds.
I mean,
Making crowds miss.
making great players miss. And so the point is, they've done so much good. They nailed a bridge quarterback. Like, they found a free agent quarterback in today's NFL that's actually, like, at one point we were talking about it as an MVP candidate at different points over this too.
Jeez.
So
Talk about jumping out of the fucking gym.
no, but I mean, the point is, the Seahawks have done a lot of good things, and you're still double-digit dogs twice late in the season to the top of the division foe that's not going any fucking where. And so the point is, kind of feel hopeless. I don't have an answer for you because, like, what do? You hit the reset button. That's a lot to chase. But the bottom line is Drew Lock, I got to give him his respect. Drive 1, beating the blitz, going up top to DK, who's been playing like his hair's on fire the last 2 weeks on Ambry Thomas. And out of the half, they force a punt.
Good defense, too.
Yeah. No, it was good.
I would say it's great defense, but it was an even
Great
better
defense.
ball and even better balance to be able to find your feet.
Amazing.
And get home with the ball.
That's what this team should look like all year offensively, but they've had trouble until 2 weeks ago putting it together.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Chris.
Yeah.
I would say that San Francisco has 3/4 of the league beat before they even let them get off the bus.
At this point, I feel that way.
The Seattle Seahawks are not one of those 3/4. I feel like
Nobody in division.
I feel like in division, particularly this NFC West,
Yeah.
this group, for whatever reason, dating back to the Clayton, Missouri, St. Louis Rams,
Yeah.
Earth City, they just
infighting.
It doesn't matter what the spread is. It doesn't matter who the line is, who's at quarterback. As we know with St. Louis, it was always somebody else.
Yeah.
Drew Lock can go give you a game.
Yes.
In San Francisco.
I have a lot of like.
And that's Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
You want to talk about culture?
Yeah.
That's fucking Pete Carroll. They got a defensive tackle playing safety out there in Jamal Adams. He couldn't cover a fucking, single bed with a king-size blanket.
That was good. I didn't know how you were going to stick the landing on that. But Seattle, I mean, like, they're in a ball game. At one point, Drew Lock's looking left. He's looking right. He hits Parkinson for a touchdown, and it's like a fucking.
He's got Parkinson.
They score again, and they're going to win this game. And Purdy it was responding back and forth. Lock, Purdy, especially with the throw to Ayuk, 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Go look at that throw. That's what separates him from a game manager. So if you want to talk about Purdy being just part of the system, no, he's part of the system, but he's plus. And when you look at throws like that, or the throw to Debo that's off platform that sets up a touchdown, like, he has the freedom to do what he needs to do, and he consistently does that. And the play action set up off the run game, another reminder, Kittle over Julian Love. You get that flag, you're like, oh, you think it's coming back. No, it's Julian Love sprinting downhill. And they're not even holding the play action long. You're just terrified of this front and the backs, and then Kittle's by you, and they're just a machine, dude.
You know what you have when you come from a ton of generational wealth, and you're probably from one of those foreign lands with an oil derrick outside your backyard?
Yeah.
You come to the United States, you drive a supercar, and you get diplomatic immunity, and you get diplomat plates.
That sounds good.
That's what Brock Purdy has. Brock Purdy has generational wealth from Kyle Shanahan's offense and the guys that they've built with John Lynch's presence of mind. And then he has the keys to the car. He can fuck up anything.
Brock Purdy's an oil
He
baron.
threw that ball across body like 4 weeks ago, and everybody winced, and then they caught it, and they were like, that was sick.
You saying Brock Purdy's going to go play for Liv?
Brock Purdy has diplomatic immunity as it pertains to the guy plays fearlessly.
No, I know.
He knows if he gets pulled over, he's going to look at the cop in his eye and say, this ain't going to be.
I play for the 49ers.
This ain't going to end it for me, bro.
I played for the 49ers. Dipset?
Dipset. Did you not know what that meant? That's what that means?
No.
Their first one of their albums, Diplomatic Immunity.
Yep. One of my favorites. That little
Joel Santana,
Cameron, Hell Cameron, Jim Jones. They were awesome.
You listened to a lot of those guys.
I was a big New York rap
You're a
guy.
D-Block,
D-Block. I was a huge D-Block fan. I listened to Papoose.
These are the names, right?
I listened to Saigon.
The only group that never broke up, hip-hop group.
Because they're the realest group, man. And that's why when Dipset when they did what do they call those things during the pandy that we all used to... The battles, the verses. When they did a verses, they mopped the floor with Dipset. Because it was bigger than a verses for the Locks. They were a real team.
It was.
They were like the 17 Eagles.
It's ironic that they chose one of the favorite toppings on bagels. The Jewish community also sticks together.
Yes.
Thick and thin.
Yeah.
I would say that.
By the way,
the Locks have taken a page out of some real winners' books.
I'm a huge fan of latkes. I'm a huge fan of like all that stuff, bro.
I could eat latkes all day.
Super underrated.
It's just potatoes.
It's potatoes. Different take on potatoes.
They actually have a podcast, and it's like them and like the title. I think like them.
Do they really?
Guys. Like
I'm telling you, bro.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, we got to get those guys on.
Thing.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody in the Locks, especially Sheik, because I feel like he's got to have played football. He's like 6'5", and he seems cool as shit. Come on the pod. Okay, so let's talk about Chiefs, Bills. What a game. What an ending.
It though?
It was a great game. It was a great game, and it could have.
It was a bullshit call.
It was a bullshit call, and like it's not a bullshit call. Okay, let me explain why it's not a bullshit call. Okay,
temper tantrum.
Kyle, when you had that one teacher in high school that all they wanted to do was fuck you over.
Yep.
They wanted to get on you wanted to put you in the parent-teacher conference, get you dead to rights, get you suspended. I led the league in yellow cards when I was a middle schooler. I had 63 in 1 year, tied with William Taylor. Okay, I used to like all types of shit. When the teacher would leave, I'd line the desks up run across the desks, jump into the reading corner, like shit like that. I was a bad kid. But like when you have that substitute
You were a boy.
teacher who doesn't understand you, okay, when you got Carl Cheffers in the classroom, when you got the guy that you called a Foot Locker employee that called roughing the passer on Chris Jones last year, you make sure you line the fuck up. You make sure you check with the official, and I totally get it. I think it's the Carl Cheffers thing that made Patrick and Andy so mad, because just a week ago, Patrick, and how long can you say this stuff with the way the wide receiver room has let you down? They're anti-American. They don't like Patrick Mahomes. But you know who's even more anti-American? Carl Cheffers, because he's the guy that has been the thorn in their side, and I think that's why they were so pissed off at the end of that game, because it was fucking Carl Cheffers. McGruber, it's Cunth.
Again.
Okay?
Cunth.
So in that situation, and I read the transcript after the game, and Carl Cheffers made some sense here.
And on business.
And you could say Von Miller was offsides a couple plays, before that or whenever it was.
Mitch Schwartz had a really dynamite breakdown about Von Miller not being offside on the play in question.
If Mitch said it, couldn't be wrong.
I truly believe I could believe anything Mitch Schwartz says.
That's the problem.
Well,
That's where misinformation starts. But
well,
I think Mitch is really smart. I think Mitch and Jeff are really smart.
It's an unfair allegation, but the breakdown in question about Von being offsides did paint a good picture for those at home that maybe see things on the TV and say, he's offsides.
Well, he's not directly on the sideline. The angle's more
the blue
square,
line versus
blue
where
line.
Creed Humphrey has the football, things that matter.
I get it. I'm willing to bet, though, that some officials might have called that. Now, having said that,
You're right.
On the very same plays, you got both your tackles out the gate early, which they've consistently been. So, I mean, listen, at some point you have to play yourself out of situations where you're depending on the refs to call PI when MVS gets tackled, to not call Toney in this situation. And what Carl Cheffers said, if he looked for a lineman advice, I would have given it to him. No warning is required if you're lined up so far over the ball that I can't see it. Okay, and that's the rare moment where the ref breaks character and he's like, dude, just line the fuck up.
Yep.
Okay, and we're not talking about this. And Toney has cost them 2 games now. Sky Moore, this whole group, the drops, it has been a thing.
If it wasn't Toney, I would say it's on the line judge to say, hey, man, back up.
And he also doesn't know where that call is going to land. It's not like he knows that the greatest play maybe ever at Arrowhead is going to transpire.
We were
Here's
robbed of that play
I'm
on the
not
day
gonna lie,
that.
I'm not trying to throw anyone else under the bus, but Travis Kelce and whoever's on the other side of them, can't they see that like he's up too far when you're lining up in that bunch? Like I think you can kind of notice, like, yo, bro, back up a little bit.
But that's not. It shouldn't be anybody's job. You know what I mean? You have
the
so many
quarterback's
things to
job.
worry about. No, it's not the quarterback's
The
job.
quarterback can't see that shit right
quarterback's
there.
Alignment and
job.
assignment.
It's not
bro.
Quarterback
quarterback's
cannot
job.
see the depth of
The quarterback
receiver.
goes like this. Quarterbacks
not
do
the
that.
quarterback's
How
job.
many times do we see quarterbacks line up and they tell guys go like this?
That's going motion. That's not line up correctly.
The refs are
Sometimes
the ones.
they
who
Sometimes
guys
he
over
may
the
see her.
line.
So you're supposed to have one guy on the ball, one guy off the
You
ball.
want Patrick to wipe his
So hold
ass
on.
too?
So you get a guy in motion and he gets to his final destination, but he's supposed to be off the ball. A quarterback can see that if he's in the slot or if he's wide. Hey, get off the ball, get on the ball. Other receivers help. But if he's in line, like where Kadarius Toney was outside in the
He
tackle
can't even
box,
see that.
he can't see the depth.
He can't see the depth.
He can put him there laterally.
So
you can't see the depth there.
It's this wide receiver room. I can't remember.
The tackles are so far off the ball, they don't know where the line of scrimmage is anymore. How can they help?
I can't remember a room.
No,
And
I didn't say the tackle. I said the tight end.
No, but I'm telling you in addition.
I mean, but we're
Sorry.
grasping for straws, trying to blame anybody but Toney.
I'm
Tony's
trying to
the guy
explain
blame.
to him.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm
Okay,
saying,
we.
But the point is, it's the royal we. As fans too. Like if somebody wants to say, hey, like he's offsides, dude. You just need to line up on sides. And I can't remember a room on a team with championship aspirations in the recent future, history of the NFL, that's been more of an impediment to them getting where they want to go. Like this team is the same team as last year in a lot of ways. They're down a safety. They've had trouble at linebacker. But in my opinion, that defense, you saw them in the second half of that game. They're fucking nails in those situations. They figured out, Bills come out in 12 personnel. They're getting 7 yards a pop because Kincaid and both those guys are back. In the second half, they come out. It's 2-2. It's 2-2 a play, 3 punts, 12 plays for the Bills, and you felt it. I turned to Nolan, and I'm like, this is the Chiefs. When Arrowhead gets tight and you can feel like
You
they're the
saw
team
that.
that's not going to make the mistake. Josh throws the pick. I've seen it. And that defense being who they are, that's what makes me believe that they can still do this. But this wide receiver room will kill you down the stretch. And they've played them into the pack where they don't have home field advantage as an automatic, which is a travesty because they can beat anybody at home, they can beat anybody on the road, but now this team can lose to anybody too. And that's the
home or away.
And that's when you're scoring 21 points a game because you miss opportunities, that is leaving money on the table. And so why is Sky Moore on the field? Why is Toney on the field with the game on the line? Why is Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting the ball in this game? Okay, a lot of people are paying attention to the wide receivers. This was a Jerick McKinnon game. And when he came in the game, they moved the ball.
He produced.
Their offense was more dynamic with him in the game. I know you feel like you have an advantage in the run game, just lining up and pounding it. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire does not give you that upside that McKinnon does, and he handcuffs you. And so my thing is like all these issues. And Clyde, great screen pass last night. Like he's part of the offense. But if you're going to line up and run the ball, give us some creative looks. I think McKinnon's better. When they get Pacheco back, if they have Pacheco, they win this game.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you think Pacheco not having him is
It kills them.
Yeah.
Oh, but
on
he's
the-
the spark plug of their offense.
And on the other side, Cooks is really good for them. He's been really good. Cook's been he's a singular cook. He's been really
Just
good.
one chef.
It's just one
Small
chef. We
restaurant.
don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. We just want one cook in the kitchen, and he's getting the job done. And you know, like I talked about the Kansas City defense. I talked about how much they tightened up. I talked about I didn't talk about this. Chris Jones running through McGovern late in the game. Like Karlaftis has a sack. Like they're starting to do the things they need to do. But the Chiefs waste these possessions.
The rush on Spencer Brown on the hold.
Yes.
I was like, he's just so strong. I was like, I've been Spencer Brown in that position before.
But the Chiefs, dude, I'm pulling my hair out because at some point, you know, these games where they've had to battle back, like Green Bay, like this game, they get these possessions where they get it tight, and then they waste possessions. And, you know, I talked about the Chiefs defense. Let's talk about the Bills defense. Okay? After the Eagles game, they were ranked 31st in the league in third downs late in the game, ahead one score or tied. Chiefs went 0 for 3 on third down
when they showed that
in the
stat
fourth
line,
quarter.
when they showed that stat line,
Yeah.
when Toney was like, "Oh, and the Chiefs with a lead," you know,
Yeah.
Jim was like, "The Chiefs, Tony, with a lead."
Yeah.
Tony was like, "Oh, not too good, Jim, for the Bills fans here."
I don't know, Jim.
It was like a Rick and Morty dial.
Maybe they'll throw it to Richie James. But the point is, the Bills defense is playing better, and the key to this whole thing is Josh Allen. We've talked about this game for 5 minutes. I don't think I've said his name once, but he is the reason that I feel like if they slide in, they're as dangerous as anybody in the AFC, and nobody's going to want to see them. Because if they slide in, that's going to mean they're going to have beaten Dallas at home or Miami on the road. And the way I think this goes is like, can you imagine Week 18, all the marbles going down to Miami? Miami may be playing for home field. I like the Bills' chances there, even with the guys they have on the field. Josh Allen, that play he made on 3rd and 8, he's dead to rights. There's maybe one other quarterback in the league that can make something out of that situation. He's on the other sideline. That's it. Okay? And this motherfucker going JanSport with 4 people on his back at the 4-yard line, that's what separates Josh Allen at his best from everybody in the league. And so people are down on Josh. We have seen what a change in coordinator does for them. Joe Brady taking advantage of the 12 personnel, doing a great job in the first half, getting them that lead. And then late in the game, those conversions, they're on Josh. And Josh just will break your back. I mean, the first touchdown of the game, this offense is clicking. You know, they're going jet motion. And
It was ugly. It was scary at the beginning.
It was scary. It was like
I went in the shower
Yeah.
and I got home right before the game, saw it begin, and then there was 14-0.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna put Frankie down, and then after that, it was a ball game. But I was scared in that shower.
And
for
I
5
blame
minutes, scared.
CBS. I blame CBS because they held us hostage.
They
in
did.
Cleveland. You want to talk about Army Navy guys getting held hostage? I was getting held hostage. Like I felt like there was a fucking
The whole first quarter, right?
Like I was watching the last 15 minutes of that game with multiple stoppages, and people are sliding me a bowl of food under through a metal hole in the wall. That's how I felt watching that game. And the Chiefs and the Bills are like off. And when it came time and you get it, the Chiefs are already down. It's because the scheme, the script, the way they come out in these games, They look way better early in games. And that first touchdown, Edwards jumps the jet motion in the flat because Josh will turn and pitch it off, and Edwards is biting hard, and that's how they made that first play. So scheme is giving them a lead in a game like this, whereas before I didn't have confidence in it. And now you got a scheme and a quarterback.
They built that play that Edwards bit on when Cook came out last week. Edwards came in. First play that he came in, they threw one of those tunnel jet screens, and Edwards hit it like a bat out of hell. And I have to believe that Joe Brady's like, hey, guys.
This guy's ready for the swing pass.
Watch this. And that's what I like about Joe Brady. He's a guy who's going to try to give you chances. He's going to try to give you big chances. You don't need to do that with spread formation. 12 personnel is awesome. You get it's that sweet spot between protection and options. And you get Josh Allen. And what I have written down here, free runners do not equal sacks.
Not with Josh.
I saw Nick Bolton run free. And if you know Nick Bolton,
dead to rights.
He's built like a 500-pound pile of fucking bricks, and he can move and he can tackle extremely well. He got to Josh. He hit Josh clean. Josh bounces off and is able to evade. That's the type of play that can break the back of a defense. When a defense has an opportunity, has it drawn up correctly, your free runner gets there, you got to get the quarterback down. And when you don't, things break down in a fucking hurry.
Your best calls. Spags is like, I'm saving this call. Or some D coordinator, it could be in the playoffs. It could be McDonald. You're like, I've been saving this pressure up, and we hit it clean, and he can erase that pressure and then put you in the hole because now you're down numbers. And so, when you rank quarterbacks in this league, be careful putting some guys ahead of Josh Allen who can't move and who cannot handle the rush, because half the game now, if you haven't noticed, is guys not only evading the rush but staying fucking healthy enough to play, because half the quarterbacks in the league are on the sideline, and this guy continues to be like a brick wall. And it's fallen apart a little bit in Kansas City, but I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, so to speak. I really do believe that when you got one of the best coaches in the history of the game, one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, one of the best defenses in the league this year, I'd rather be in their situation than Jacksonville. I'd rather be in their situation than Miami, because Miami hasn't beaten anybody. If Miami starts beating people, they're better. They're better than the Chiefs. Okay? I'd rather be in their situation than Baltimore's. Like, sneaky Baltimore thing we're going to talk about is they're still working through Mark Andrews. Okay? There's a hole. That's a hole there, okay? And I also like, part of it is just I believe what I believe, and I think that they'll be okay. But what it looks like, the path they have to go on because of Toney and because of these guys, it might be on the road.
Two things can I say to finish this Chiefs thing?
Yeah.
And I'll let you finish, but I want to just get this out before I forget. Still very concerned about the Chiefs' ability to protect with five, particularly at the tackle position.
That's the next layer.
I don't think that Patrick has felt truly comfortable all year back there. That's because of who's out there running routes, also in conjunction with who is protecting his edges. And then I said the lateral play. We missed truly one of the great tip-of-the-cap moments in sports yesterday with Travis Kelce's catch and subsequent chest pass to Kadarius Toney, not only because of the magnitude of that game and the moment and the rivalry between those two teams, but because of the passing of Frank Wycheck, the Music City Miracle.
Yeah, no question.
The tight end who threw the perfect jump pass across the field. That was shades of Wycheck last night with Travis Kelce. And it was a shame, obviously, that Kadarius lined up offsides, and we got to miss that.
And Kyle, for that reason, and I didn't even think about the Wycheck thing, like that would have been poetic. But, we are robbed of it because of
Frank
Toney.
Was up there going, fuck.
And
For real.
Frank was like, man, I couldn't have done any better myself.
Yeah.
And, I've also, since we're pausing here, like one of my good friends, Tom Sanny, who grew up in Nashville, knew Frank, and Jeff Fisher, reached out to him last night. Like, the things that people said about Frank Wycheck, he's just the type of guy you'd want to play with. And obviously leaves a huge hole in Tennessee Titans fans' hearts and guys that play with him and guys that coach him. And so rest in peace, Frank
God's
Wycheck.
goal line package just got a lot better.
A lot better, dude. A lot better. And that team seems a lot more fun to be on because the way it sounded, he was a great teammate. Did you see the fucking drop ceiling falling down while Chris Jones was talking to the media?
Can you show me this?
Like, such a metaphor for what's going on in Kansas City right now. No, I didn't see the way he walked out.
Hilarious.
Kyle, you're sitting there. Chris Jones is saying whatever he's saying. Like, fuck. I don't
In
know.
the locker room.
No,
at the
media
podium.
room.
And all of a sudden you hear something hit the ground and there's guys ducking. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? The building's falling apart.
Bank robber falls through the ceiling.
Like one of those white
that's
drop
the
ceiling
jackass.
things.
Yeah,
fell through
popcorn.
anyways, that's where we used to hide liquor bottles in high school. 'Cause we had the drop ceiling. Down
I used to
in the
hide
game
liquor
room.
in my liver.
In your liver. But it was funny about the drop ceilings was when mom and dad got the game room redone.
Yep.
They had to take the ceiling out, and I was in college, and they found like a bunch of Myers rum.
Yep.
And they were like, "Are we good? Like,
Yeah.
Do you have an issue? Did you have an issue? No, you shouldn't have drop ceilings.
Boys will be
You can
boys.
hide shit up there.
Boys will be boys.
Okay, so anyways, we'll talk about the Ravens.
What do you think about Patrick's reaction after the game?
I just think it's
What do you think?
I think it's Carl Chaffers.
No, but I'm talking about let's get away from the humor for a second.
It's not humor.
And Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go and they shake hands at the end of the game.
And he says something about that.
Now
all the time.
I'm friends with Patrick, and I have the utmost respect. I think he's one of the toughest, most competitive people we'll ever see play the game.
Yeah.
I thought in that moment he was wrong.
I don't care.
I thought in that moment you got to dap Josh Allen
He
up
did.
and say I can't wait to play
And
you.
maybe he said that and we didn't see it.
Nope. There was a boom.
So what did he say?
The greatness of
What did he say?
Patrick.
Give me the exact transcript because you saw it. No, don't look at your phone. Tell me what he said.
He was
Said,
voicing.
what a play. I've never seen like a call like that, right?
I mean, that's what I'd be saying.
I
to you.
believe it too.
Would we not be saying the same?
I
thing?
believe it too. I would probably just be like,
After double
Good
doink, if you
I
said,
just hugged you after.
yeah, you
double
did.
doink.
But had you said, "Fuck it,"
I don't think I
Parky.
said anything
I
about
know, but
Parky.
had you, it wouldn't have been.
Well, we did,
What do you mean?
and I didn't.
I know, but had you said it, this is the point.
Yeah.
Had you said it,
Yep.
I would have been like, yeah,
You could
you're
have
right.
forever
Yeah.
had that in your back pocket.
I get that, but I just think that the media's reaction to all we understand his emotion. We understand that's part of what makes Patrick Mahomes great.
Yeah.
I fail to realize that he is human at some time.
Yeah, he's a fucking human.
And I am a buddy of his, but I'm also a fan.
Yeah.
And when I watch that, and I have the utmost respect for Josh Allen as a competitor as well. I think they owe it to each other to compartmentalize in that moment and say, "I'll fucking see you in January."
Yeah. Would you?
I think it's worse. Hold me back on the sideline. Like
They really were holding him back.
but still, but if you let him go, what the hell is he gonna do? Like what
Maybe
is
he
gonna do?
maybe
Like, I
he
just
beat
hate
somebody
that.
up.
Cut it the
You know,
fuck out.
all I'm saying.
Maybe he beat somebody up.
Cut it out.
This
Like,
is
cut
one
it
of
out.
these things that is a talking point. Patrick Mahomes is
And that's
I think what it is, it's the same thing with LeBron. Everyone loves LeBron. I'm a huge LeBron fan, but when LeBron complains about fouls,
Not even close.
and ticky-tack stuff,
Not even close.
I think as a fan,
Because he does it
you think
1,000
he's so-
times.
No, I'm just saying because you think he's the GOAT. Like I think that's cringy. I don't think he should, even if he's validated.
I'm not.
I'd
no,
be
It's a
interested-
situation for me
I'd
when you're
be-
watching a lot of people like Patrick Mahomes, and we haven't seen him in the media in this light. And it's someone where we always say he's on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to getting calls, especially at the end of games. So to see him act this way when a call was made the right way, it wasn't like it was
was the right call.
fence.
I also think somebody on the sideline might have said, because you have to realize that he's not looking at the thing. I could see him still coming off the field like
Not knowing what
the fuck, is
happened.
that
Yeah,
offside? And so somebody on the sidelines like, dude, it was ticky tack.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
and that's gonna set me off because you trust your
But
guys.
still, it's the rollover, bro.
Okay, so
I'd
what
like
are we
to
gonna do
see-
about it?
Look,
I'd
you go
love
into the
to
locker
suspend
room.
him?
Look, no.
Like, what
Look,
are we-
you go into the locker room and then you sit down. Like they give us that time
5
period.
minutes.
You're supposed to
Yeah.
cool down. But for him to say what he said, it just makes you look like a sore loser in the moment.
No,
Which
he's
is-
just
which
such
is
a
fine.
competitor.
He's a competitor.
He's a
dude.
competitor.
I've seen guys mad at calls before. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
I'm consistent with this. Like,
Hear me out.
If I respect you and your body of work and who you are as a man and a teammate, and he's always been accountable. Last week he said
So
when
accountable.
MVS got tackled, he's
I know.
like, hey, it just is what it is. But every man has a breaking point.
I
Hey.
guess, and his breaking point, I would have much rather him threw fucking Toney under the bus. I would have much rather that. Like in that moment,
Really?
because he's endured. Because
We
my
would have been
guy-
having a segment about throwing teammates under the bus.
Well, it's just one of those things. Him, Patrick Mahomes, he has endured so much with just Kadarius Toney that like I would have understood it. I would have understood it more than him doing what he did.
It's impossible to say unless you're in that situation.
I agree with you. I agree.
Because it
with
has
you.
been a tough year.
It's
It
kind
has.
of
No, it has. And like we all can see that's probably like what was the trickle down for all this is the breaking point of damn.
I got people. I hear you guys are feeding people in the chat. Should have just dapped them up and kept it pushing.
Yup.
Save the commentary for the podium. What the fuck are you talking about? You have no idea what.
I wonder-
Hold on. You have no idea what his relationship with Josh is. You have no fucking clue. They're two guys that are going to talk about this game for years, and I will not blame Pat for being like, yeah, y'all got let off the hook with that.
This is like Woodson with the tuck rule,
It's
right?
not like they have a bad
doesn't
relationship
go away.
and he's not giving him his due. It's not like two head coaches don't like each other. These guys love each other.
They respect each other.
They just played a game of pickup with everything on the line.
Yeah.
And it is totally natural to acknowledge the way you lost that game.
Come down to a call.
You guys are overanalyzing shit. You need a TV show. You guys, you need a YouTube.
Chris,
news guys.
You were there at the Grim Reaper game where
Yeah.
there was 13 seconds.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen never got a chance to go. I never paid attention to the dap up that happened after that game because in a similar fashion.
What if Josh said, "I wish I had another chance there"? Oh, fuck Josh.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm getting more perspective on it, I still feel the way I feel.
I just don't know.
Patrick's
Some things we
competitive.
talk about, I'm like, what are we talking about?
Well,
It's
then
like,
we don't have to talk about it.
No, it's
We're
fine.
talking about Patrick Mahomes saying that the refs should not have made the right call because it was an amazing play that's robbing.
Okay, that's the podium. That's the
I
podium.
get-
But we're talking about the post game and being held back and the post game
I know,
dapping Josh
it's
up.
all, bro. It's
At the
all
podium,
of it.
once you've seen the play, I would have personally been like,
That's
hey,
what I
we
mean.
just got, okay, well,
like
just
you have time to sit in your
can bring it up
locker
in a
room and
different
really-
conversation, not the conversation about the dap.
Can you
up.
pass me those cookies that my
I
wife
can't wait till we
made?
get the Aaron Rodgers conversation.
Can you pass me those cookies?
Cookies, you want some?
I gotta sweeten up this. It's getting salty over here.
Well, it's not salty. It's just we spent 10 minutes.
No, I'm not.
So what's the sum of talking about Patrick Mahomes' character after that game?
No, it's
like-
not.
I mean, well,
No.
He just seemed like a sore loser. Like you said, when you're being a competitor, it's gonna happen. But you can't deny, like in that moment, he was being a whiny sore loser, and like it happened.
are you drafting Caleb Williams?
It happened. It happened.
Caleb
It
Williams?
hap- Oh, he's a whiner too.
Okay, okay.
Bro, I talked
Okay.
about that too. I don't
Okay.
like that
Yeah.
whole thing too. Oh, I went home and cried with my dog. I don't like that shit either.
What the next thing?
I'm just saying, bro.
Let him
So don't
go.
draft him. Draft Drake May.
Drake May is nice, bro.
Okay, fake May.
UVA beat him.
Yeah, well, UVA beat him.
Clip this. We'll talk about this next year.
So the Ravens, okay,
Yep.
they are a good football team, but I just want to say this. They are adjusting to Mark Andrews. I do worry about this offense in certain, like the Rams.
They scored 37 and they're still adjusting, but it's true.
No, but okay, how'd they score 37?
They score with a punt return. They had an Odell
And two
shot. They-
blown coverages.
yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. 37 points for a team that truthfully is still figuring out what to do without their biggest check down.
Yeah.
It's scoring 37 points.
No, it's great. And
Did you hear
you
Odell?
do have to take into account that they are playing the Rams on the back end with a bunch of guys that really have played above themselves all season.
Did you hear what Odell said?
What'd he say?
He said that was a great play, but I definitely ran the wrong route. So even hearing that, it's just like ugh.
Odell.
Yeah, well, a little TMI there, right?
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but
for
the,
sure.
the point is, I'm not down on the Ravens. The Ravens are a really good fucking football team. I will say this, I've gotten chastised for questioning that they're the best defense in the league. Like, unless the Rams are that good, which I think they're pretty good, they had a couple of the best drives I've seen all season. Like, just like vintage great quarterback duel stuff where they had to answer each other, and Puka and Cooper and those guys were carving these guys up, and they ran the ball. You mentioned they came out and ran the ball 7 straight times.
Was it 9 or 7?
7 or 9.
Okay,
It's
so
all the same
that
to me.
mean-
It's like
that-
a fucking, hey, fuck you guys.
Well,
It's
Chris-
raining. You guys are supposed to have the advantage. We're going to run the
Let
ball.
me set the stage
Yeah,
for you. You're
yeah.
in the hotel the night before the game.
Yeah.
You've been in these defensive
Yeah.
meetings. In the defensive meetings, what do they show you? They show you formations. They show you third down stuff.
Yeah.
In the offensive meetings, they say, this is what we're going to do. This is the last thing that they do in the meetings for the offense. This is our first 15. Everybody pull out your pens and get ready to write this shit down. And then Sean McVay rattled off 9 straight running plays. And the offensive line looked around and said, yeah, you know what? If we are going to get in a fucking
Yeah.
fist fight with these guys,
Yeah.
let's really commit to it.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Sean McVay, bro.
Yeah.
That's why the Rams have a chance every week. Because we think about the Rams, we think about Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, when in reality, it's the guys up front. It's Sean McVay matching the style of the fight to the opponent. And against the Ravens, they came out short at the end, but my God, putting up 31 on the road in Baltimore in the elements is cool.
happened?
I'm looking at the chat a little bit.
What are they
I mean, guys, maybe the same guy. Guess I'm tainted by my 20 years of Brady not doing that. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I literally texted somebody
Are
and said,
you-
this
hey,
is his Brady moment.
Buddy, that's Brady.
It's Tom
Okay?
Brady.
And I love Brady anyways because he hates to fucking lose. Brady used to kick guys. Brady did some of the dirtiest shit you've seen quarterbacks do. Okay, and I'm not up here on my
Awful.
soapbox about it. Like worse than Patrick. Are you kidding me?
100%.
Watch ball, dude. Watch fucking ball.
Hey, let me find out. You're a Taylor Swift fan, huh?
No, Jesus Christ. I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I'm a Josh Allen fan. I got people in here going, look at how Josh dapped Mahomes after the 13 seconds game. Josh is a cooler dude than Pat. All this tells me is that you guys are mad about something with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to make any guesses.
Yep.
But I think we both know what I'm talking about. Okay, Ravens, back to the Rams. The Rams are a good fucking football team, and I want to give McVay credit because they've done this with a lot of guys that you didn't think you can count on. But special teams hurt them. You got a lot of young guys on special teams. Eventually that bites you. The coverages that you blow, that bites you.
I don't know how he stayed up on that return.
On the return, yeah, no, I thought he was going to hit the sideline.
And then when he fell forward, it was like toddlerish, where they gained their balance, and you're like, wow, kids are flexible. That guy was unbelievable balance there.
That was the classic. You got the LA Rams +7, which we had, and it's overtime. And for a second, as he's running, you're thinking, oh, money line's dead. Oh, no, is it all dead? You know, and then you remember in overtime they don't kick. So thank the Lord for that. But the Rams deserve to be commended. Puka's ahead of Garrett Wilson's rookie yardage, and he's gunning for Jamar Chase level as a rookie.
Yeah.
It's no longer just people don't know him.
I think he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's no longer people don't know him.
Then was that just a scare? That whole him walking out in that injury, everyone thinking that he broke his collarbone?
Vitamin T, I think he's tough.
That had to be like just a scare, though. Like, would you think like at the worst it's like fractured a little bit or something? I don't know. It just seemed weird the way he went out.
I don't know, man. Guys can play with that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, collarbone's really painful. I've cracked my sternum and had to play the next week.
Catching and extending. That's
Yeah.
He's still making like
having the
I
balls
have a
open.
sternum fracture.
Yeah, you do right now.
Right now.
You think when did you do it?
Golf.
You fractured your sternum golfing.
Either that or my rib ripped something out of me.
It's probably cartilage or something.
It's been like 6 months.
Yeah, I did it.
This right here, like when
I did it. I was trying to tackle Adrian Peterson, and I slid down the back of his leg trying to catch him from behind, and his cleat went right into my sternum, like you know, like
he
right under it. It
anti-hip
was like,
dropped
poof,
you.
you know. And then you know, the next week, I think whoever my coach was like, you got to practice Wednesday. We're gonna build you a blue pad, and we're gonna put it at like a blue foam pad here. It tapes into my. So you know, like Puka can come back from stuff like this, and
Blue pad.
And I think for the Ravens, you look at who they are. The run game is going to keep them in it while they figure this out. And some people are going to kill me for saying they're figuring things out without Andrews. Watch that Chargers game. You know, I talked about this at length. Like when they came out in 2 tight end sets, or when they had like traditional tight end sets that they built, they weren't running the ball with authority. You know, because you're putting Pat Ricard at the Y, or you've got this other dude who's just a dude, and then you don't like Isaiah Likely in there, so you split him out. So they do have to work through some things. But I want to credit their offensive coordinator and Monken. Like, you know, this is 3 games in a row that you've had to hit this thing on the fly, and I think they've showed a lot of different elements that I didn't know they
had to hit it from different angles.
They had to hit it from different angles, Nate.
That's what she said. Hit it from
Yes, Nate. That was.
So this was one of the games of the year. I mean, a lot of fun, and the Ravens, a lot of big balls to hang on. But look at the other 2 teams from the NFC that you thought were high-powered offenses came in here. The way they look, the Rams are different, right? They're playing well, and you know, people coming to this game were like, "Oh, if you just look at the stats, Ravens tons of sacks, the Rams." You got this bad taste in your mouth because it's a bunch of guys up front that you don't know, and early in the season, Stafford's getting killed, but they've done a better job blocking.
How do you feel if you're Aaron Donald and you never sack Lamar Jackson, and you're
so
running
close.
around and you're so close, and
close.
you kind of know that, like, I'm not going to be playing for so much longer, but to have someone like that and see him get so close, like, as a player, like, what are you thinking about? You kind of know that in the back of your head, like, hey, I've never sacked this guy before.
I mean, it kills you because he sacked every other human being alive, I feel like. And, you know, like Lamar's the toughest one. I mean, I feel like he would like that pelt on the wall. But with the game
Is Lamar the hardest sack?
Has to be one.
in the league right now, I'd probably least like to rush
That's what I
Josh.
think.
No, but honestly, I'd like to rush Josh because I'll always take a bigger guy that'll hold the ball longer.
I got you.
When Lamar's out, he's out, and I ain't catching him.
I just
know.
hate that Josh can have you on
Kyler?
like on top of him.
Kyler,
and
that's the worst.
Him do that flip shit.
Yeah.
Like he's strong enough to do that flip shit on the way down.
He's
which
so
is like,
strong, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the Jags because the Jags are interesting. I mean, like losing.
They're not interesting. They are Jags.
Kyle. I got a hot take for you.
Okay.
I feel better about the Jags this week than I did two days ago.
Me too. They played with an injured quarterback.
Because they went to Cleveland and they scored about 30 points. Okay? Like, look at what Cleveland has given up at home defensively. They are the best
10,
defense in the
11,
league at home.
11 points a game, 12 points a game.
I mean, like, yeah, something like that. And they came out, and it wasn't that you weren't good enough. Your defense is not good enough in general, right? You down Kirk. You don't have a run game. But the reason you lost is the picks. You know, and I thought you could chalk this game up to being, you know, Trevor Lawrence being unhealthy. But all week the question is he hurt? And I've had a high ankle. You guys might have had a high ankle before. It feels like you broke your leg. And so when it first happened, I could see why he reacted the way he reacted. And then as the week goes on, I'm like, he might be pretty fucking tough because it is hard to come back that first week off a high ankle.
It gets worse as the week goes.
As the week goes. You know, my first week with that thing, I could not walk all week. Then we shoot it up Sunday, and I go out, and it's like a cinder block. You can't feel it. The only time you feel it is when it feels like there's a bolt of lightning in your shoe. But high ankle, there's a range. You know, it goes from a low high to like a tightrope, you know, and it's literally millimeters. How far up is it? Is it like 10 millimeters up? Is it, where's that little micro tear or whatever? And I think for him, it's probably lower. Because as I saw him this week, I thought they were playing some sort of mind games when they trotted him off the bus first. They're bouncing him around in Indy right next to the cameras. No, he just looked good. Like during the game, that first 3rd and 3 where he tucked it, I was like, oh, he looks good. Then he got sacked on a blitz by the ankles, and I'm like, that's gonna hurt. He didn't get up slow. He mixed Taki. He was running right at him. He bails out of the pocket. He dumps over his head. I'm like, oh, he's pretty good. There was a scramble before a 4th down that they didn't get late in the game on like 3rd and 12. And that's where I decided this fucking guy looks good. The dot to Ingram on the sideline looks good. The 3rd and 6 touchdown late looks good. This guy's fine. So everything's in front of you.
He's okey doke before though. He had an injury earlier on the season. He went out and he had his season high rushing. He got 55 yards.
He's the possum king, dude. He is.
Do you think it's possum, or do you think that maybe like since like me and you played in the league, that maybe like the medical and like the recovery stuff for some of the injuries that we're used to seeing guys having to sit out is maybe like it's being.
I think we made too much of the injury. I think his reaction. I think you can be really tough and resilient. I don't think
be
there's
scared.
I think of Trevor Lawrence is as tough a fucking quarterback as there is in the league. I got a lot of respect for him.
Step on your ankle.
But when it happens in the moment, and I also have a conspiracy theory that maybe his knee got hurt a little bit too, because that's something that's been, and maybe the ankle and the knee, and it's just general like, what the fuck just happened? And then you're seeing they don't get the cart, and he looks terrible walking off. This guy's really tough. The problem is the picks, right? And where they threw him, when they threw him, and the fact that they got 14 points off Cleveland turnovers, but canceled it out, giving it back. 14 points off their turnovers. And this is the problem. 14-0, it's first and 10. You throw a deep ball. I understand you want to get back in the game, but there's pick 1. Okay, the second one, Lawrence and Ridley, off. They're off, like in the red zone. Trevor's saying turn around. Like, I kind of believe Trevor there because Ridley can't get right. Every now and then you get a little bit. It's 21-14. You're in an awful spot to take a shot on 3rd and 1.
The dagger was the one.
But hold on, that's the worst fucking call of the game. It's 3rd and 1. You're down a touchdown. You take a shot.
No,
that's a terrible
Matt
call.
Canada.
That's a terrible call.
It was the Steelers Thursday Night Football.
It's a terrible call. Awful. Matt Canada, the ghost of Matt Canada is still up there, but terrible.
Cockroach.
And you know, like Cleveland, 4 of 18 on 3rd down, but converted on 4th down when it mattered, and that big 4th and 3, the man beater. They have a man beater. I watch teams all the time in short yardage situations that don't have a fucking man beater. David Bell, who is that? He got somebody to fall down.
The inventor of the telephone.
Stefanski has a man beater, and that goes for a touchdown. And so that's the game. And then in the middle of it, they ice it with a Hopkins field goal from 55 yards. And really what happens is you run out of time because these short conversions. I remember one point, Cleveland had the ball 8 minutes to go, and you're trying to get it back. They convert on a DTR sweep on 3rd and 1. They put DTR in the game. They convert. They go 4th and 1, Hunt behind Teller. And at that eats 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, and then you run out of possessions. And then you're onside kicking in the whole thing. So like when it mattered, Cleveland got the conversions, And I just thought this was a game where you had to steal points off turnovers, and you did, but then you gave them right back.
But stealing points off turnovers, that's the point I want to make here, and that's about it for this game. The dagger for Jacksonville was a Lawrence pick inside their own 20 to Craig Newsome. Third on the day. He was just trying to get rid of it, pressure in the face. He was trying to give his guy a chance, but he sailed it. I mean, you're just trying to create points at the end of the game. Led to an immediate touchdown by the Browns. And the point is, good teams score points. Great teams score points off turnovers immediately.
Yeah.
And when an offense comes on the field after a turnover with the opportunity to put that knife in the neck, it's like, let's get this thing done.
Travis D says Chris can't give Dallas any credit. Can you put your fucking hearing aid in?
We did that.
We did it for like 10 minutes. I gave Dak the MVP. I ran down all the reasons that they're playing so well.
I said
you
Jerry
want me to
looks
say
young.
They're better than the San Francisco 49ers.
I said Mike looks skinny. Jerry looks young.
Then beat the 49ers when you play them and don't piss down your leg, okay? Trevor D. You know when you do this, if you hear a ringing, that means the hearing aid's on. So just try that. Okay, so anyways, we're talking about the Browns. This is the second week in a row that they have a fire script and they end up with an open dude, totally uncovered for a touchdown drive one, and that was the way they had to win this game. Because once they get up on you, especially at home, that's a tough script for the other team. And I think with Joe Flacco, who was just named the starter, they have enough to make noise. Now, they had the DeJuan Jones injury. He's out for the year. That's a big deal. Their depth has been tremendous for them. But Kevin Stefanski, they could have 10 wins because they still have 2 games against relative cupcakes at home. 45 throws for Joe Flacco. You might end up with 10 wins on a team that started 4 quarterbacks. And, like the play action was working for him yesterday. The Njoku touchdown in the second quarter, I think he just runs by Devin Lloyd. I think Devin Lloyd had a tough day at the office.
He's a freak show, dude.
Lloyd?
No,
Njoku. He might be as valuable to his team as almost anybody.
Yesterday I tweeted David, Todd, Heap, Njoku.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
He had 9 catches, 90 yards. I was in a time machine and nobody liked it. And I was like, you just don't understand. You had to be there.
But especially relative to what they do. Like, they're going to need the tight end in that situation for the scheme and the tight end. I can't tell if it's Njoku and his value or just the fact that Stefanski is scheming up these screens and these leak outs that kill teams. And I just want to give Stefanski a lot of credit because although they did the thing with Deshaun and I kind of was down on that team, it's nice to be able to root for the Browns. Because Joe Flacco's the quarterback. And 3 weeks ago, he was on the couch. The secondary is one of the best units in the game.
And I've got a futures on him.
Yeah, you got a futures. We think about the front. Okay, they're really good. But the secondary, I think, is the big reason they've been able to win 8 games with 4 quarterbacks and down their best 2 offensive players. They were down Thornhill and Ward yesterday, and still they're just lights out and taking the ball away. Again, they play the Jets and the Bears at home. They could win 10 games.
Myles Garrett had the shoulder pop a couple weeks ago, and then he had 2 weeks with no production. He had 1 week with no tackles, 0 production. But you and I have both had shoulders before. Nate, I'm sure you have. The first few weeks are the worst, where it feels like you have extra room in your shoulder. You can't stabilize it. You can't lock it in. You don't want to use it. It feels like it's falling out. But after the first month, that thing starts to tighten down. You get the scar tissue. I'm thinking that he finds a second wind here physically towards the end of the season. I'm not sure how much he's dealt with in terms of shoulder injuries, but if this is his first one, he'll come back swinging.
You also figure that like freaks in nature that can do everything.
Yeah, if there's anybody who's
immortals, they regenerate well. Yeah. And
it's the Trevor Lawrence, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, no, Trevor's a freak too, and like good for him going out there. And all I'm saying about the Jags, I'm not trying to zag super hard, but I thought their season might be over when he went down, and the way it played out this week, even going to losing this game, this is a game you might have lost anyways. It had nothing to do with the injury. You know what I mean?
The way that the Browns are built at home.
It just is what it is. And your defense is fucking uninspiring, dude. It's just uninspiring. Like play action from the start, these guys were just stuck in place or running downhill because they're just not confident. They're stressed in every direction. And the front, I made noise about Josh Allen. He's great, but Trayvon came on a little bit. The guys got to win. AFC playoff race. We talked about the Browns. Matt, what do you think the magic number is to get in the wild card race?
10 and in.
Okay, so I have the Browns as in because the way they're playing, unless this DeJuan Jones thing is a huge deal, I think that they're going to find themselves in the playoffs and a tough out.
Home game against the Bears, home game against the Jets. That should do it.
Yeah, and they got two games outside that they could win. But
Watch out on the Jets now.
Yeah, watch out for the Jets. Okay, we're going to talk about them, but I think the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and I really do think the Jags figure out how to win the division, and they do it. And then from there, it's because when you look at their division, Indy looked very mortal yesterday. They had a chance to win. They didn't get the win. If you look at Houston, I'll just say this about Houston, and then I'm going to zoom out and talk about Zach Wilson a little bit. Houston, without the guys they had on the field yesterday, Schultz, without Tank Dell, without Nico Collins from a point, they looked like a quarterback with a bad setup. And isn't it crazy?
It was the Bryce Young.
How that reminds you that you should not, and I'm not saying take anything away from C.J. Stroud because I think he is him, but him looks that way. When him are missing, him looks that way.
Him looks like he.
Him looks like he or whatever you want to say. But when you look at Carolina or you look at some of these other situations, and listen, I don't watch Carolina like that. I got to watch them yesterday, and some people are already out on Bryce or whoever the quarterback is. Just watch that tape yesterday. Those guys could not get open. It was like Velcro. Anytime they had crossers, it was like guys were running in sand and like Reed sprinting full speed to catch up to him. Or Sauce Gardner was just running routes for people. I mean, they could not get open, okay? They could not get open. So the point is, if they have injuries like this and they stay with them the rest of the year, it was going to be enough to overcome Tank Dell. It's going to be hard. So I've been really high on this team. But if you're not healthy, it's going to be hard.
You've been high on this team, as in the team that they've been putting on the field to have this success.
Yeah, now they don't have that team right now, and so we'll see. But like when you talk about the Browns, another thing they got is a great conference record. So if it gets to 10 and you've got tiebreakers, here are some of the conference losses, and this is my math. So if I'm fucking this up, somebody in the chat get me right. But the Bills, I think, have 5 conference losses, which is bad news. Indy's got 4 conference losses. Denver's got 5 conference losses. The Texans have 4 conference losses. So, it's going to come down to some head-to-heads. Buffalo doesn't like their head-to-head against the Broncos, right? If the Broncos make a run here, and last night ESPN's, FPI or analytics or whatever came up with, it was all these teams.
The guy with the sleeves rolled up and the glasses?
It's not Karnacki. It's somebody else, Kornacki. The Browns have 83% chance to make the playoffs. Texans 54% chance. Okay, and I think part of that is they play the Titans twice. They play the Colts and the Browns. The Colts have a 40% chance. They got the Steelers, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Texans, and the Bills. Now we know what has to happen for the Bills to get in. They have them at a 39% chance. I don't know if that was after the game or not. But the bottom line is they play the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Pats, and the Dolphins. And I think if what it's going to take is 3, I think they're going to get in. Okay? So if I had to predict today, I kind of feel like, and I'm not being overreactive, I just believe this about the Bills. If they look this way, they're dangerous. That should play out on the field. The Bills and the Browns are 2 of my favorites to get in. And then after that, you've got the Steelers, 34% chance, at Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens, and the Broncos at Lions, Pats, Chargers, and at Raiders. So 10-7 is possible for them.
And don't forget,
11
don't forget
and
the Bengals.
6, 11 and 6, and the Bengals, who are 22%. But the reason they're 22%, I think, is the fact that I don't know why the fuck they're 22%.
They got to play at Kansas City in Week 17, so
which looks a lot different than it used to.
You ever have moments where you feel really stupid, like something happens?
All the time.
Okay, so I feel stupid because your guy Karnacki is on TV, and I look at Kate and I go, "This guy's a genius," and she was like, "Why?" And then I was like, "Hold on, why is he a genius?" Just because he has his sleeves rolled up and glasses. Essentially, that's why I think he's a genius. So I am dumb. I'm an easy sell.
This is a good one. Chris, what edge rusher in today's
Bob
league
Iger.
do you think aligns with your play style? I think it's Trey Hendrickson.
Which what? Say it again.
Which edge rusher in today's league do you think aligns with your play style? I think it's Trey.
That's a good comp. He had 2 sacks yesterday. Right?
Trey's going to end up with more buckets in his career, but I think Trey, that little guy, wore 91, walked up to me after a New Orleans game when I really had no idea who he was, asked for a jersey. I was like, this guy, maybe he's going to be good one day.
No glove.
Now I watch him and I'm like, this is when I watch Trey Hendrickson on the edge, that was my game plan every week. He's a double swipe guy. He can go to power with one arm. He hustles. I really like Trey. Okay, so if we're talking about the Bengals, it's dynamite lead in. They jumped out on the Colts. Let them back in. They have had to find different ways to score, different situations to win games over the last couple weeks. Jumping out on these guys, back and forth with Jacksonville. The screen game was great early. And I think Browning did a really good job of play-action pass. So if they can run the ball, there's no reason, I said this week, why they can't slide in. Now, I don't know if they're going to slide in, but if they do, they're tough out because the bones of that championship team are in that building. And, I think a big question is going to be down the stretch, how good can Lou Anarumo make this group look? Because yesterday at times, they look like that group. And so I'm really excited to watch the Bengals play down the stretch. We talked about the Colts.
Yo, Chris.
Yeah.
So last week the broadcast told us this Browning kid was a phenom in high school. He was a good quarterback in college. And would you look at that? Now the guy can play in the league too. I wrote this last night. I might have been a little bit baked, but I wrote it down. The quarterback position has always had a mystery around it where seemingly only a few guys on the planet can do it at the highest level. I feel like the cerebral part of the game, the installation, the schematics, they've matched the God-given talents, and we're seeing more than ample opportunity for guys to have success in the league based on the offensive coordinator, not necessarily just based on gifts.
Yeah.
So we get these guys who are getting schemed up to do really well. 8 for 9 on play action for 174 and a touchdown. To your point, that's based on Zach Taylor's willingness to stick to the run at the beginning and counter with the pass.
I said this last week, Kyle. Today's NFL, it's paint by numbers, throwing the ball. Like some of these schemes.
So I'm not crazy for writing that.
I think you were stoned.
What I'm trying to say.
I think what you're saying is true. If what you're saying is that the schemes are there, they're available. These great schemes. It's become such a schematic league where there's such a variation in schemes.
A lot of pilots can fly at 50,000 feet now. Not everybody can fly at 90,000. There's only a handful.
Pilots is a great example. Now I look up there, the pilots, they got all these fucking computers. You just got to make good decisions.
The plane will land itself.
You got to make decisions. Like I saw a stat that most men think, of course they do, that they could land a plane.
And you said in the group chat that you think you could do it. I think it's cap.
I think I was saying it just to agitate people.
It's
I would
the
never.
Dunning-Kruger theory, which is that people with little to no experience in something,
Feel like
people with zero experience in something have a better chance of succeeding than people who have a little bit of experience in something because they're cocky.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes is the perfect guy to land a Piper Cub in a storm. Okay?
Yeah.
But if Jake Browning's flying a Boeing 777 and the computers are doing the work, he can land that plane.
Pilot of the year.
And so the point is, if Patrick's got that fucking 747, he's gonna win the league, right?
Yeah.
But you gave him a Piper Cub this year. It's fucking nasty out. He might have stalled up there somewhere, like Richie James or Kadarius Toney chewed through some of the wires.
Went over the line.
And I think to your point, the point I'm making is with backup quarterbacks in today's NFL, and that's why although the NFL has gotten fucked on a lot of these injuries, there are some situations where guys can still make their teams dangerous. Minshew, great offensive coordinator there he works with, and the same thing with
Tyson Bagent.
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far.
Backup quarterback.
But the point is, the AFC playoff race is muddled, and I cannot wait to see how this thing plays out down the line. Yeah, NBA, you got a fucking play-in tournament, you got a mid-season
How
tournament.
goofy are those fucking courts?
Goofy, totally goofy.
They look like Croatian,
But with Anthony,
basketball
if
league.
Anthony Davis is closing out on you in the fourth quarter and 500 Ks on the line, that's a different level, dude.
I'm putting these hips on him.
The way they play defense, the Lakers don't get into the NBA, but sometimes the way that the Lakers play defense, I'm like,
physical.
I might like I hate the Lakers, right? But I really like the Lakers too.
I just love LeBron
because
James.
They play great defense.
Would you
dude.
how much would it take to take a charge from a guy like Anthony Davis or LeBron? Would you take a?
You need to ask them that question.
For real. You put the words in my mouth.
Ask them that question. Because LeBron wants to play till he's 45. I don't know if that's happening.
Yeah.
I'm the one standing in the lane.
Imagine if they're all Glenn Big Baby Davis down there.
Yeah. All right.
Careers get shorter.
I just got a physical. Healthy as a horse.
Ooh,
All right.
congrats.
So
I had a friend who had a
Speaking of
physical
horses-
last week who said the doctor told him he has the lowest T he's ever seen.
No, he did not say that. What a fucking joy that is for him.
You know what I'm talking about?
He can just start. He can just start getting on the test.
The lowest T.
I mean, there's some
Diet is what they said.
Diet. Your testosterone is 7. Drink less IPAs, buddy. Exercise every
You
once
have
in a while.
transitioned
Yeah, okay.
unintentionally.
Denver. I don't think that's how it works, Kyle. Hate to break it to you. But anyways, Denver, the Denver Broncos
We rode.
are freaking fun, man.
Yeah.
They're fun. And Reed and I had a lot of fun yesterday. That was one of the few things that
Rode up to Portland.
And I mean, it just gets worse in LA.
yeah, that's kind of what happens when your coach should have been fired 5 weeks ago.
But it just gets worse and worse
or
and
a year
worse.
ago. And it does just get worse and worse and worse. And then you've got Easton Stick out there.
North
you know,
Dakota State
and,
fame.
Stick talk.
And now you've got, we like the stick talk.
talk.
Stick talk.
That's stick.
Stick Talk was a great beat too, man.
But the problem is, Justin Herbert's hurt his finger.
DS2?
Please do not trot him back out there against the Raiders.
Get him
next
out
week.
of here.
We've seen enough. This experiment's over. I'm going to say it again. Dean Spanos, you're not serious about the thing you own. You're like one of these slumlords that doesn't put anything into their apartments. Like there's this guy in town here who owns like 15 things, and they're all falling down.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? The thing up on Afton Mountain. Okay, there's a bunch of it's like the fucking Chiefs. There's drop ceilings.
He's got a
falling
bunch
in.
of
There's-
cool shit around town, but he doesn't do anything with
Don't do anything with it. It's Spanos.
It's derelict.
It's really at some point you should have to give your team up if you're not going to be serious about forfeiture of your team or
That's
relegation.
hate.
No, it's not hate.
That's hate. You
It's
can't
not-
tell me how to play with my toys if I buy them. Right?
Okay.
Right.
Well, I can make fun of your toys.
No, absolutely.
Well, I'm telling you, in my opinion, if you bought the Chargers and did what he's done with the Chargers,
He should
it's
have
my
to give it
right
up.
to say you should have to give it up. Now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's bad for the league. He's bad for the league.
I got you.
And Brandon Staley is not good for the Chargers. And I've seen enough. And Sean Payton, I just want to say this: a lot of people at the beginning of the season
Said a lot of things.
said a lot of things because Sean Payton had a gaffe and he said too much. And maybe
He got excited.
my theory was he was trying to build up his team and in the process tore down the other team, right? Because you trying to make the point that Nathaniel Hackett was the problem and not my
roster.
not my quarterback or my roster, which doesn't do him any favors because he could have blamed it on the roster and not the scheme. But he stuck his neck out there and said some shit that wasn't popular, and it turned out to be true. And he turned out to be Sean Payton.
I love Sean Payton.
And Sean Payton is a fucking hell of a football coach, and he's found a way with this team that looks completely different than the team he had in New Orleans to win.
Yeah, they got the blueprint. Just continue to run the ball, play good defense, get the fucking turnovers. Continue to force turnovers, man.
They had a big stop early in this game when immediately they throw a pick that gets stolen out of the receiver's hands, and they're inside the 10-yard line, and they stand up. And it's just like, for that to happen on the road and for you to overcome it, it's equally as bad as it was like attaboy for Sean Payton and the Broncos. Staley, 4th and short, constantly just getting stuffed. It's like he's a caricature of himself, and I don't know what else to say.
I mean,
seen enough.
like you asked me when we were upstairs, you were like, "Are the Chargers going to score here?" And I paused because every single game, what felt like in my Broncos tenure, has been that's when the other team scores. Like we might run out to a little bit of a lead, but then boom, the opponents come back and they kick us back and they get
There's
right back
parity, right? I mean, these games are supposed to be even, but in the Chargers case, every week seems to be an uneven matchup.
Right.
I mean, you go to New England, you put up
6
points.
Yeah, they're losing like in different ways.
They
They're finding
they go
different
down,
ways to
they
lose.
match their, because like in Detroit, they like scored all the points with Detroit, but they lost that one too. Then as Kyle just said, when they played,
They've lost
Cleveland,
shootouts. They've won 6-0 games. They've lost 31-17 games. They got blown out yesterday. It's just, I've seen enough, dude. It's a travesty that this organization is not in better shape, and it starts with the owner because Brandon Staley's not going to change. And what's he going to fire himself? Anyways, we're talking about the Jets, and I just want to say this. I don't know if they're in the race. There's reports that now, last week it was, Rodgers isn't coming back. That's what Rappaport said. Now they're going to open his window, right?
21-day practice
21-day practice window. Wait,
Valuation.
is that already open, or what the fuck's going on with
No,
that?
his practice window would have already been open last week when he started practicing.
So we're
after
eyeing
last
the
week-
Commanders game, who did the Jets play this week?
Who did they play?
Who do they play this week? The Jets, if you look at their playoff chances,
If they win every single game that they have left, they have like a 10% chance
Okay,
of making
so who do
it.
they play this week?
At the Dolphins.
Okay, they're going to lose this week. And then are we still going to
Then-
play Christmas against
then
the
we've got
Commanders?
Commanders.
I'm holding
Yeah.
you guys to that. Actually, what I'm not going to do is say that Aaron Rodgers should play because I would play a Zach Wilson from yesterday over a hobbled Aaron Rodgers. And that's the conversation we should be having. No offense to who might be one of the GOATs of all time and like the GOATs of all time.
But you just said that with the expectation that the quarterback that you chose out of those two options is going to be the quarterback that we saw yesterday.
That's what I said.
Which is wild to me
Okay.
because we haven't seen that.
I think he found his Cunth, Kyle. You weren't here. But I
I
Okay, I'm gonna explain it to you because the people here watching the show probably didn't hear this anyways. MacGruber, it's a
Yep.
movie. The
Fabulous.
plot of the movie is that MacGruber, Will Forte, it's a masterpiece. He was a war hero. This guy Cunth killed his wife, so he goes AWOL and he's in like Cambodia living in a hut, and they need him. So Powers Booth, the general, comes and he's like, MacGruber, we need you. He's like, all due respect, I'm out of the game. And Powers Booth says, but the game has changed. And then MacGruber says, but the players are the same. And that might be true for Zach Wilson too, because the same players out
are
there.
the same.
Okay? But then Powers Booth says, MacGruber, it's Cunth. And at that point, Zach Wilson or MacGruber, who was sitting in a hut in Cambodia, like, I'm just glad to be done with this shit. I'm just so emotionally scarred from Cunth killing my wife and getting benched 6 times. When he found out it was Cunth, he went out there and he was a killing machine, including his own guys in that van on the tarmac. But the difference between Zach Wilson and MacGruber is Zach Wilson didn't do 6 tours in Desert Storm. He's but a man, and maybe he's not good at football. But what he needs to do is just find out what's his why. Let it loose. Nothing's on the line for you. It couldn't get any worse. And you're going to go play somewhere else next year, maybe, probably. You're not the quarterback for this team, but over the last month of the season, what you can do is you can regain your respect, your dignity, and people are going to call you a bust. They're going to talk shit about you, but go out there and figure out what it is that made you what you were when you were at BYU, because this game's different, and you've seen that, but you could still let it loose a little bit more. And I'm not saying do everything sidearm and throw every ball like that brilliant pass he threw when he rolled out
Crossbody,
crossbody,
left to right.
like holy shit. The first 3 throws of the game,
that was the combine throw.
Yeah.
Pro day throw.
He outplayed C.J. Stroud.
That we fell in love with.
He outplayed C.J.
Yeah,
Stroud.
that's the important thing to me is to show up with that confidence after being benched so many times against the guy.
That showed me something.
Everybody's like, be like him.
That showed me something, Kyle. And I've been down on Zach Wilson. I called it how I see it. I called it how I saw it last year when Zach Wilson threw his team under the bus. I said, that shit's bullshit. But this is the inverse of that situation. Look how much he's grown up in a year. Now, the leak was crazy that somebody would say he wasn't willing to play. But to come back and play that way, the throws that he made were incredible.
Which
he really did.
aggregate account was that responsible for that?
I think somebody really, I think it's real. I think the issue that Aaron had was that it was leaked. Okay, which is bogus. So I just want to say this. Zach Wilson, if he plays pretty good this weekend and they lose, and you're serious about this thing, or he plays one, they win, do not put Aaron Rodgers out there. And that's the best possible outcome for Aaron Rodgers, too. Because if he plays in all seriousness, whether we have this goofy argument every week and it's become a bit. It could
cost you next year.
It could cost you next year. And honestly, I don't see him being very good off an Achilles or whatever it is. Because this has never happened before.
What if he's just trying to get out of there? And he's trying to get a little bit more tape to get out of there.
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't
More
think he needs
tape?
tape to get out of there. He's
Well,
got
like-
20
Tape,
years of
this
tape.
isn't the fucking preseason,
Hey,
dude.
I
He's
mean,
not
like,
saying we're
what-
going to get you on tape for these other 31 teams to see it. We'll give your mama a chance.
To show other teams, hey, I still, even though I was hurt, I still got it.
Oh, I mean,
Because at the end of the day, what if he doesn't like the organization
If he
and
didn't
how they're
still
moving
have
right
it,
now? Because
Nate.
just like how you said, the leak, that type of stuff, it might sit bad with him in the offseason to be like, hey, do I really want to be here?
if he
Was
didn't
this a
still have
blessing
it,
in
people wouldn't
disguise?
hate on him so hard, Nate.
Say again?
People wouldn't be hating on him.
Shout
so
out
hard
to
if he
Sam
didn't still
Meyer, though.
You and I know that.
Shout out to what Aaron Rodgers?
I said if people didn't think that he still had it like that, if he wasn't still a bad man, people wouldn't hate on him.
No, I think they hate on him because they just don't like him. I mean,
And because he is Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, and maybe that's the reason people are hating on Patrick Mahomes in this chat and in this room. I'm just joking, guys. But I just want to shout out Quinnen Williams because yesterday he was a one-man wrecking crew. And I know that, in that game, you pay it, but I know, but, you got nothing to play for, dude. And I got a lot of respect for guys like that because
Yeah.
there were plenty of games in the NFL where I had to put my fucking helmet on, a million sudden changes, go out there.
Gotta play for the name on the back.
No, you just got to play, bro. You got to play. Whatever you're
I
playing
used to
for,
tell
you
our
gotta
coaches,
play.
just run the ball so we can get out of here.
That's a guy that knows his why, bro. First play of the game, they run trap, no chance. There was a sequence in the second quarter that I think encapsulates what this motherfucker has been about this year on the low because people aren't talking about him. But 2nd and 10, 10:58 to go in the third quarter. Center goes to reach him. Cannot reach him. Shocker. 5 yards deep, that center collides with the mesh point. Okay? And then after the play, he's walking back to the huddle after just abusing a grown man that's making money to play in the NFL. Mosley gets pushed by 81 on the Texans, some tight end. Kind of pushes Mosley into Quinnen Williams' path. And Quinnen Williams, without breaking stride, just pushes the shit out of 81, doesn't even look at him, continues walking. 81 doesn't say a fucking word to him. And then the next play, Quinnen Williams sack. He's just a bully out there, and I love the guy. And I know people aren't talking about him, but he can still play, and he wrecked that game.
He reminds me of the
Shout out
Stay
to
Puft
him.
Marshmallow Man. Remember the Stay Puft They said, close your eyes and imagine the most, the most harmless thing you can imagine.
Yes.
And they're like, what did you think of, man?
Quinnen Williams.
And then he turned and there was just like, it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I actually see this metaphor, dude.
Because he's got the big smile.
No, because he is such a, like, we had him on the show. I mean, he's like fucking awesome.
And he's
dude.
just coming to fuck up your backfield.
I don't know if you guys have seen this too. Like I think he had just gave like maybe $2.5 million, maybe finding like 50 to 100, I think, single mothers and giving them like $25K, like in Alabama.
Wow.
I might be messed up on the numbers, but I know it was up there, and I think it's worth saying. So
Yeah, no
shout out to him
question.
for that.
Yeah, fuck
holiday
yeah.
time for sure.
We love Quentin Williams.
Quinnen Williams, great guy.
And Quentin Williams.
I'm going to read you a quick ad read, and then
You want to do this?
we're going to get into the NFC race. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, go let it out.
Already
We've got
down.
a couple minutes left in the show. Here's your ad read. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's the place to find last-minute seats, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code GREENLIGHT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code GREENLIGHT, GREENLIGHT, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Since my wife definitely listens to this show, hi Meg, love you. I just want to let you know that I'm planning on probably going to Vegas in the spring to see Fish, who I don't even really
At the Dome.
at the fucking
At the
Sphere.
Dome. Oh.
So I just might have to hit up Game Time to look at some of those tickets. My boy Tommy P turning big 4-0. We're just going to make a trip of this. So I know you listen to the pod. I'll assume if we don't talk about this, you didn't miss it. You just think I should be able to go. So Game Time, I'll be hitting you up. A Fish concert in that Sphere. Can you smoke loud in that Sphere? Or you got to get on it. You got to get on it.
Howie Jr. went to the Sphere.
I know, he saw
I think
you
at
too.
the Fish concert, the dome will be oozing smoke. I think you're all right.
Okay, good.
What would you
Sweet.
want to do in that Sphere more than anything? Like if you could play a game,
I'd
watch a movie.
Here's what I want to do.
Planetarium.
Take mushrooms and say, hey, Jane Goodall, whatever you got, just
Yeah.
put it on the big thing.
You know what I would like to watch?
David Attenborough, hit me.
David, yeah, oh yeah.
Hit me.
Run back all the Earths.
Run all the B-roll
Planet
that you've
Earths.
ever...
Remember those?
Oh, the planet
He
Earth.
said, run
those
back all the Earths.
Run
I mean,
back
planet-
all the Earth.
Planet Earth.
I kind of like put that on a T-shirt. Run it back, planet Earth.
Earth
Yeah, I want to
2.
see those fucking those iguanas that swim underwater.
All that.
Like the racer snakes on that one island. Like I could take you through a whole.
I wonder if I get freaked out.
Snow leopard.
I feel like if I took shrooms, there's a high chance that some of that stuff, it might like really freak you out depending on how you're tripping.
Hey, somebody said take 2,000 milligrams of edibles, and here's what I want to say to you: you're getting your edibles from the wrong place. If you're taking
Not really.
2,000 milligrams of edibles, there are some people that are like, yeah, I take like 1,500.
get
I'm
it.
like, bro, you're getting edibles that aren't hitting.
Yeah.
You need,
They have
you
high
need-
tolerance.
50?
I don't think so, Kyle. I know some guys with high toleri, and it's a couple hundred for them,
Tolerances?
maybe 500 for top end kind of guys I know.
I have a high Christmas cookie tolerance.
All right, so anyways, Let's talk about the NFC playoff race, which is a lot shorter conversation. It just boils down to basically, are the Packers who they think we are? We'll find out tonight. Let's do the Monday night preview right now for Little Caesars. I know it's going to throw you guys off a little bit, right?
No.
All good.
But, since we're talking about this NFC playoff race, Green Bay at the Giants, I like the under here. I think Green Bay covers, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure of anything anymore.
I'm pretty sure here.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Tennessee and Miami yet. 13.5. That feels like a lot, especially it being windy there tonight. I think Vrabel's going to find a way to shorten this game a little bit. If I had to do anything, I might lean under.
I fucked up after last week saying this is a Vrabel game. This is a fucking Miami Dolphins game. Okay?
Yeah.
13.5 points. 46.
Well, Jeffrey Simmons is down, and that's a problem.
Let's go.
Fulton, I think, is down. They got a couple guys down. But the point is, I'm never surprised when Vrabel makes something that shouldn't be.
Packers will cover and the over. Dolphins will cover. And
You
the
like
under.
the over
and the
New
under.
York. Okay. And I think if it goes over, that's because Saquon can run the football
That
in
could
Green
happen.
Bay. I mean, I think that's Green Bay's shot is they got to run the football on these guys so you can run the football.
New York shot.
But the point is, the Green Bay Packers, I think, are a playoff team. I think the Rams may end up just short just because of the way things are playing out. The Rams are down to 33%. And you really have this NFC South sandwich here. Okay, it's the Bucks, the Falcons, the Saints. Who wants to win this division? I don't know, but the team with Desmond Ridder, I've said this over and over again, like you're the best team out of those three teams, but I don't know. Yesterday's a perfect example of like literally if you take those mistakes off the board, you win that game.
If they have Justin Fields.
And Tampa's still in it. If they have Justin
If
Fields,
Atlanta
I
has
think-
Justin
I
Fields,
think they
they
might
might
win a playoff game.
Okay, I thought you were going to go further with that.
What?
Maybe make a little run.
No, I don't know. I don't want to get all out over my skis here. But Todd Bowles, who Stanford Steve famously said Coach of the Year about a month ago, fuck, if they win this division, not that it's pretty, but he's done a really nice job in Tampa just finding a way. Holy shit, man. I mean, Minnesota found a way to win. That was a hideous game. The Raiders, I thought they had it. I had both win totals under, and I thought for a second I was getting a 0-0.
Vikings at 59%. Justin Jefferson hurt again.
Exactly. Huh?
Jefferson hurt again.
Jefferson's hurt. Somebody else left the game.
They should have traded him when they had a chance, dude.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Although Mullins looked kind of good when he
They were winning without him.
Mullins looked all right, and I think they got
Mullen, in his first 17 starts, he has the same yards and touchdowns as Andrew Luck did in his first 17.
Wow.
Are you saying that Andrew Luck is Nick Mullins?
Maybe.
No, I
don't
mean,
know.
the point is, with a coach like that, you never know. And in New Orleans, I just don't believe in them. So I don't know what to make of this NFC playoff race. I know you're supposed to hear a take.
It's side goggling.
Huh?
It's side goggling.
Side goggling. Yeah, I'm side goggling the NFC playoff race.
No, the whole thing is side goggling.
What is side goggling?
It's just a skew.
Oh, really? How do you say ASCHEW?
A skew. ASKEW.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Origin,
it would be
please.
Use it in a
sentence.
Appalachia.
Syntax. I think the Packers with a win tonight, their chances goes to what? Like
up around 80%.
80%. So let's do this thing, Packers. 'cause
Side goggling. Shit doesn't make sense. That's what it is.
I'd love to see the Packers.
Side goggling.
Yeah.
It's a great word.
Okay, I'm gonna use.
All right, it's from Appalachia. I heard it on TikTok.
Okay.
And it means essentially like the whole thing don't make any fucking sense. It's side goggling.
Okay.
Like the whole situation with our mailbox at the bottom of the road. See what happens is the trucks come down here. and we
Come
gotta-
down in the ravine.
It's side goggling.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia?
No,
Yes.
Green. What is this?
Shake.
I only watch
Where's my
BET.
They fell to the,
guys
to
stole
the,
my
to the left of you.
You never heard side
If
goggling.
you shake a pill bottle, Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia is a great documentary. The guy was shaking a pill bottle. He's going to give me my pill bottle. West Virginia mating call is what they say.
Really?
That's what they say in that. I love
he
the state of
already
West
knew.
Virginia, so no shade. But here is an ad read before we get to our Miller Lite moments. Whatever you're looking forward to this football season, there's one thing that pairs well with every great moment, an ice-cold Miller Lite. Whether you're at the stadium playing fantasy foosball or watching the game at home or the bar, Miller Lite is here to make your football season taste like Miller time. From kickoff till the clock runs out, you can't go wrong with a Miller Lite in your hand. It's the only light beer with a taste worthy of our national obsession. Because what's the point of beer if it doesn't taste like, well, beer? It's got 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving with a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish, so I can keep that figure. You get the taste you crave without the calories, so this season, crack open a light beer that hits your taste buds so hard you feel it in your heart. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/greenlight, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs for 12 ounces.
And we already heard y'all's take on our Little Caesars Monday night previews.
Yep.
But Little
So here's
Caesars
your
wants
ad.
to tell us something.
Here's your ad. Little Caesars. You wash the beer down with the pizza, or the other way around. I don't care how you do it. Monday is still game day, and game day is the perfect pizza day. So make Little Caesars the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, part of your game day. Order online during our Pizza pregame 1 hour before and 3 hours after the NFL kickoff, plus all day Sunday to have your NFL game day covered. Choose your favorite Little Caesars pizza or pick toppings you crave. It's a pizza win. And speaking of winning, everyone scores with a convenient delivery or our in-store pizza portal pickup. So grab some friends, order your Little Caesars, and enjoy during the games. I think Deion Sanders should do a commercial for Little Caesars and do a pizza portal pickup. And they try to send him Domino's, and he's like, I don't want this shit.
I just want O-lineman.
I want Louis Luggage. Yeah, I need the meat lovers.
Just send me O-lineman.
I need the
By the way, they signed a bunch of fucking guys yesterday.
Did they? Good.
6 or 7.
Good. He is Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, not going anywhere. You guys mad? You're mad because he won an award that you didn't even fucking pay attention to before he won it? Oh, you're so mad?
He's
Who gives a fuck?
He's putting a new
Oh,
lake.
somebody else should have got it.
Who
cares?
He's putting a new lake in his backyard, and he wants everyone to name it. He already has a lake called Prime and a lake called Time.
Ooh,
so which
time
is
and
How about just call it THYME?
the time. AKA
Time.
time. That's good.
How about
I'll think of a name for that lake. I want to name that lake. What are his kids' names? Who's his favorite kid?
Shiloh and
Shiloh
Shador?
is Dion Junior's is number 1.
Shador
Shiloh is number 2.
Shiloh's number
and
2.
then Shador.
Shador is 4 right now.
Okay. I'll think of something.
Deandra Shalomi.
That's his daughter. That's the one who's in the
Deandra.
commercial.
Yep.
Says, I know you ain't eating that on Daddy's white carpet.
She also
Yeah.
plays on the Colorado basketball team.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah, she dropped buckets.
Wow.
I love the family. It seems like a good group, and they're
Yeah.
good in commercials too.
They're great, dude. Okay. And he's a Sports Person of the Year. I'm so mad. They barely won any games. Who gives a fuck? It's all we were talking about. Don't you understand? You understand how this thing works? Okay. Let's get to the mentions.
Are you done?
Best flight?
I'm never done. Okay. Best flight. I'm going to go best flight. Best flight. Best flight, the Buffalo Bills. Leaving Arrowhead after you have to ride 56 minutes to the airport because the settlers planned that city horribly. Fucking airport all the way over here. City, Power and Light District
It's a
all the way
great
over here.
city, Chris.
Stadium all the way over here.
It's a great city.
You got to drive 50 minutes, but then you get on the plane and you make McDermott go through 2 TSAs. And then you have a great flight home.
My best flight was actually my flight to Chicago. I got to go back to Hallis Hall where the Bears practice and train all week. And, it was my first time going back as an alum. I hadn't been there since they told me, do not come back.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed in the building.
Yeah.
And it was great to see everybody. It was cathartic. If you've ever played in the league and you go back to where you played, you can relate to this, but not many people have. I saw everybody from our equipment manager to all the trainers. I was in the training room, the equipment room, the locker room, in the atrium, weight room, hanging out. It's a special place. Truly lucky to be a Chicago Bear. And I can't think of another sports organization where the owner would be waiting there for you because he heard from somebody that you might be coming.
Yeah,
and he
that's
just
cool.
waits in the lobby.
That's
He's
cool.
like, my friend Kyle's coming.
That's cool, man.
I didn't get to see George McCaskey, but I was exchanging texts with him, and we spoke on the phone.
I got to meet your team security guy in the car.
John Tarpey, shout out to John Tarpey. Got me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that guy deserves a fucking raise. But the bottom line is, Kyle, when you go back, it is cool because it feels like
They had a welcome back, Kyle thing. I was like, get
No,
that
they
off.
did not.
I was like, get it off.
No
Like,
way.
Yeah, on the big screen. I was like, get
Oh
it
my
off.
God,
Get it
Kyle.
off.
They want you to come coach O-line.
They gave me an alumni jacket.
Oh my God! When I went back to I would go back certain places. I went back
Barely
to
get a Virginia.
I saw Cody Whitehair, the center from the Bears from my time, and he was a rookie in like my fourth or fifth year, and we became super tight. We played next to each other, and when I saw him, we just hugged and we just almost like both just started crying.
the bro hugs.
The bro hugs when you haven't seen the bros in so long.
Oh
is
my
amazing.
God, dude! Yeah, like
And your big smiles.
I
like-
went back to the St. Louis practice facility where we had that nurse city there, and I was just giving imaginary hugs to all the people that used to be there. It's not like a fucking. It's renamed, and they do
It's
the
Dunder
corporate
Mifflin.
events there and stuff. Like, you know,
Yeah.
kind of depressing.
It's a
Not-
corporate office.
It wasn't quite the same as that trip.
Best flight, me.
All right, so let's go. Worst flight. I think worst flight goes to the Lions. Low ceiling, probably getting out of there. Short flight, but I mean, it's going to be a long week of practice. Dan Campbell's going to take it out on yous.
Yeah, worst flight lines. You can't even get Wi-Fi on that.
No, you're just up and you're down, Kyle.
You know, I heard
It's
it.
40 minutes of boarding.
There was a kid sitting in front of me on the plane yesterday, and she looked across the aisle. It was the flight from New York to Charlottesville, which is about 56 minutes. And she said, "Mom, set this Wi-Fi up for me." And the mom said, "Short flight, you'll be okay." And I was like,
Good for you, Mom.
I fucking love that.
Good for you, Mom. That's the way you got to parent. You saying no is like the best thing in the world. Say no more.
The Bears are the new Lions.
Yeah.
And by new Lions, I mean the good version of the Lions, not the current Lions. Like
Yeah.
the Lions that we fell in love with and had pipe dreams about.
And the new Lions are the old
Bears.
Bears.
Yes.
Wow.
It's very confusing in the
I
animal
disagree
kingdom.
with the second part, but maybe you are the new Lions.
Bevel Conway.
Okay, Bevel Conway is my favorite commercial that happens on TV every year. There's certain places you feel like you've been there and you're longing to go there, but you've never been there. And one is right under that palm tree that's lit up with colored lights. That's the only way you should do your Christmas lights. And there's a little hut, and it's somewhere presumably in Costa Rica or Mexico, and it's Feliz Navidad Corona. And it's the longest running Christmas commercial that catches my eye. And you get the "Oh Christmas Tree" whistle, and every time that commercial comes on, I just feel all warm inside. And it reminds me that I should plan warm weather vacations sooner than December 1st, which is something my wife and I made a run at this year, and that's just not going to happen because evidently a lot of people like to go somewhere warm in December. One day I will go to the set of that commercial.
I will be somewhere warm in December. It will be by my wife's side, who will be
that's
9.5 months pregnant at that time.
A lot of warmth.
We're going to be very warm. So now I'm going to go Bevel.
Or will they be warm?
Bevel
I
Conway.
feel like they're going to be overheated.
Bevel Conway Award. It's called incubation, Chris.
You're
The
helping?
Cowboys in their white uniforms at Jerry's World against
Oh.
their bitter rival, the Eagles.
God, I think that's a terrible looking matchup. I do. Jerry's World just is an ugly viewing experience for me. Maybe it's because they always win there, especially against the Eagles, it feels like. I'm going to go...
It felt good to see Nick Sirianni not like bullying anybody.
yeah, okay. I'm going to go anti. MetLife. The turf that Zach Wilson, by the way, survived yesterday. He almost did his knee or something at one point in that game.
Had that right heel slid out in front of him.
Yeah, he might be like the guy with the sword and the stone. You know Sword and the Stone, where nobody could pull the sword out of the stone?
King Arthur.
and he was the guy.
MacArthur?
Was it King Arthur?
Well, no, it was the night.
Knight of the Round Table or whatever. Whatever the fuck. He might be that guy because he actually survived the MetLife turf, but there's no uglier turf when it's raining than MetLife. It's like
We got it again for tonight for Monday Night Football.
hideous, dude. And they just played on it. Save Jordan Love, dude. Just protect that man at all costs. And then if I had to give a real Bevel Conway, I think tonight's going to be pretty. Packers Giants. Not the turf, but the unis.
Or the game. Hollow Man, Kadarius Toney.
For sure, Kyle. for sure. Also Brett Veach.
Huh?
Also Patrick Mahomes.
The fuck?
No, you guys hate him.
That's not. No. Don't do the you guys thing.
I'm gonna do the same thing you guys do to me.
You just did
That's
it again.
hate. You guys hate him. You guys hate him.
I didn't hear what you said.
We're done here.
Okay. This is one I'm excited about. Fly on the wall.
I'm not going to quote tweet that bullshit conversation.
Fly on the wall. Brian Dable watching Josh Allen succeed with a smile on his face and knowing that Kadarius Toney is the reason that he succeeded. We got this fucking asshole out of here. Wouldn't come to meetings or anything.
Vic told us about him.
Huh?
Cruz told us about him.
Watching that happen, he's sitting at home. They're not playing. They're getting ready for Monday night. He had to smile. He had to smile at Josh looking like Josh, because I think he's the guy that wants him to do well. I think the point's been made with Dable leaving.
So the reports came out that Antonio.
Oh, my God.
What?
Somebody said worst flight.
Say it.
Yeah, there's been some pretty ill-advised comments in the
Please,
chat, but
please.
this one. Brett C. said, worst flight, McDermott playing Flight Simulator. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done.
that's hilarious.
But he set himself up for years of memes, dude.
So
Anyway.
Antonio Pierce this past week has had some guest coaches in the building.
Yeah.
My fly on the wall is, what did Adam Gase have to tell Antonio Pierce?
I'm coughing.
What would say it again?
Well, he had he was with some. He was Tom
Coughlin.
Oh,
Coughlin
he was talking to
and Adam Gase. They were in the building. With
But that's
the
your
radio.
guy.
I love Adam Gase. And I think he's also one of the most
he's
entertaining
like, hey,
people.
don't do this. He's like, don't do. Here's the things that I did.
This is why I chose it for fly on the wall. I want to know how Adam Gase approached giving advice to Antonio Pierce.
It's like a don't do this, like
Cautionary tale, like
bring
when
in-
Dad's like, I've been down the road. I know where the speed bumps are.
Yeah,
I know where the potholes are.
it's like when a kid starts killing animals in your neighborhood, you bring Jeffrey Dahmer in to talk to him, give him
Whoa.
advice. Like we don't do this. Like you could turn out.
We kill people and eat them.
Okay,
I got a.
I can see. Anyways, all
I
right.
got one.
What?
Quick. Fly on the wall. Ben Roethlisberger Ben Roethlisberger watching my man Joe Flacco make a comeback and sitting on the couch and thinking, "Yo, can I do this?" Mm-hmm. Like
A lot of guys.
Like if he's doing that,
RG3.
RG3. What's Phillip Rivers? Like a bunch of guys that maybe they're watching that and saying, using that as motivation
opinion on that,
to try to do the same thing. I'm like, maybe I can squeeze in somewhere if the right situation happens for me.
I think for a guy like him with a big arm, I mean, he could kind of come out of retirement whenever. It's like Stafford, his arm looks
Brett
great.
Favre.
I mean, Brett Favre, yeah.
STL Memorial?
STL Memorial, Nick Mullins. Nobody watched that game except for me. Nobody watched that game. Now, some of you might have watched that game. I thought it was awesome. I mean, 0-0 game deep into the fourth. Josh Dobbs gets benched. I actually think he had a concussion from when he got laid out at the sticks.
Definitely.
But Nick Mullins coming in that spot and getting them the 3 points they need to win that game. Good for him.
Jaquan Brisker, 17 tackles from the safety position in a winning effort rivalry game. Set the tone early and often for the Chicago Bears. A lot of young, good secondary players, but Jaquan Brisker, biggest one out of all of them.
Hey, can I give you a viewing party? I'd like to give this one to. I think it was a Seattle sideline as Wishnowski hit 20 miles an hour. The punter.
On a play they weren't expecting.
They weren't even
like
expecting
that was
it.
his
No,
call.
that was
to
his
do-
call.
yeah.
He took the option.
He took the
He
initiative.
thought he was Brock Purdy. He thought he had diplomatic immunity.
You like that?
Yeah, and he just turned and ran.
You like that?
He just turned and ran, and he ran 20 miles an hour. Guy named Wishnowski.
That's what happens when you're scared.
I mean, he had the
You run
sideline.
fast.
He had the sideline. He had the alley was there.
Best seat. My best seat is Jake Browning's family. They were in Joe Burrow's suite. Joe
that's
Burrow
cool.
was like, "Oh, you got a girlfriend coming to the game? Watch this. Put her in the suite. You really like her?
Watch this.
Watch this."
How about Browning makes jokes?
I read it as this is what I read when I was getting on the airplane. It was Joe Burrow lets Jake Browning borrow his suit,
That's so.
and I was like,
Damn, it's easy to miss the E.
but then I was like,
You know, it's
The suite
even
makes
nicer.
more sense. I was
Even
like, are they
nice-
the same size? No wonder the offense works so well. It's tailored for both.
He's wearing his uniform.
It's been Zach tailored.
That was a nice one. That was a nice one.
Thank you. That's my
And then at the
best
end of it,
best suit in the house.
At the end of the year, I'm going to need your cartilage now, Browning.
Yes.
You're going to need to put that into my wrist.
You need your calf.
No, honestly, if he let me use his suite and my girlfriend was going to be up there, I'd make him take down all the good-looking portraits of Joe Burrow in the suite, right? There's no Joe
Like
Burrow.
off in the distance,
I bet he has some portraits in there where he looks sick.
some GQ shots.
It's just a bunch of like tributes to Joe Burrow. But cool of Joe Burrow. He's the ultimate teammate. Okay, let's go MVP, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, I already gave Dak the MVP or game ball. I gave Dak the MVP, right? I'm going to give the game ball to Josh Allen. I really am. I'm just going to do it. And the asterisk, this is for that Cowboys fan that's complaining about not us getting enough. Chris didn't give him the game ball and the MVP of the league.
So this is for the person who had the biggest impact in the game.
Yeah, you're just shouting somebody out.
The line judge.
Yeah, Carl Cheffers. Former chief.
He who shall not be named.
Lauds Carl Cheffers. Born in Southern California, 63 years old, same age as Dad. The Raiders were in Oakland when he was a kid. But I'm kind of starting to wonder. And let's get Fax's viral moment of the week.
Yep.
And get on our merry way.
My Fax's viral moment of the week this week is going to Nick Saban on his visit. I don't know what these new college visits are composed of, but he is showing his recruits around his Ferrari dealership that he owns, and they're taking pictures in, I guess, his everyday Ferrari that he drives. And the picture that's going viral, he has bags of dip in his armrest or like in his compartment on the door of the car. And then on top of it, he has 3 styrofoam cups stacked in the middle console where he obviously doesn't have someone in there that's telling him about like new culture. That is promoting drugs. That's promoting.
What's he got in there?
That's the thing.
I'm looking.
Well, how
rappers, they get into a nice car Ferrari.
You're saying
and they
because he's got
drive
the
and they
styrofoam
drink
cup.
lean
You think
out of
he's drinking
styrofoam
lean?
cup. Hey, double, triple stacked. I just think that it's something that he probably looked or someone told him this will look cool. But in the same breath, I think it looks kind of like you're out of tune and out of touch of what's going on.
Man, come on.
I'm just saying, bro.
I think he
just
has
saying.
had a water cup 3 days in a row, and he's just stacked it up as he's.
Yeah,
going
I
in the
think he
car.
drinks like Dr. Pepper and shit. And honestly, if you stack 3 styrofoam cups in my vehicle, I wouldn't even notice. So I'm out of touch too.
You wouldn't notice in your Ferrari? You wouldn't notice 3 styrofoam cups there?
Look,
I think
they
I'm-
both have double stacked cups right now.
I'm thinking about Michigan.
It's not about the.
How
the
does he
red
know
cups.
that? You know,
That's what I mean. You got to get more into it.
Nick Saban, the drug addict.
Nick Saban automatically on drugs.
You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks.
And we are not on drugs.
That was a lot of fun. That was a fun show.
fun
We had
show,
some hot
guys.
takes.
Nice going. Now I'm going to go to a rally in the street. Yeah, there's a rally.
Presidential?
No, there's a rally, that anti-Patrick Mahomes rally. Oh. I figured you guys would want to be there.
I thought 45 was in town.
Yesterday, remember when he punched a baby? Yeah, 45's in town. He'll be back in town, but thanks to many.
That's what he sounded like yesterday.
Well, that's what the rally's going to sound like.
Hold me back, guys.
Thanks for coming, everybody.